The front hall of Uncle's mansion. A family of 4 is eating dinner. Su Lingyue. Once again, we didn't wait for Big Brother to join us for dinner today. I really miss him. She lowered her head and asked. Big Brother hasn't been home on time for dinner for days now. Little Do Ding said between big mouthfuls of food. I'll save some food for Big Brother. Aunt glanced at Second Uncle. Isn't it about time for the monthly allowance to be distributed? Second Uncle lowered his head and continued eating, murmuring yes. In fact, he had already used up this month's allowance. With the year's end approaching, social engagements, and gift-giving all cost a lot of money. Second Uncle thought to himself, since Ning Yin wasn't married yet, he could borrow Ning Yin's allowance to get through the scrutiny. Sighing, he thought about how he still had to make clothes for these kids before the year was over. There wasn't enough money again. Before going to Yunlu Academy last month, the family had saved dozens of taels of silver, but by the time he got back, it was all gone. Aunt nearly tore into Second Uncle on the spot, accusing him of fooling around. It was Su Dalong and Su Erlang who vouched for him, swearing that the money had been spent on proper affairs, not wasted on debauchery. Although Su Dalong was an annoying person, he was stubbornly honest, and never lied. Su Erlang was a scholar, a responsible child, from a young age. They wouldn't deceive me. Only then did Aunt believe them. Aunt looked at him and said, I want to buy a bolt of cloud brocade. Su Pingji almost spit out his food. Cloud brocade was an extremely precious fabric, 1 tael of silver per foot. Aunt spoke hopefully. If Erlang performs well in the spring exam and ranks highly, his status will change. He can't keep wearing that old robe. No matter how fine it is, it won't be suitable for the occasion. Su Lingyue is at the age for marriage now. The clothes in the wardrobe need to be updated. Second Uncle thought helplessly as he handled the tax silver case. We've already emptied the family's savings. The first month's rice and flour were even borrowed from a neighbor. Let's wait until next year. Next year we'll definitely buy it. At that moment, they heard the gatekeeper old Zhang yelling, be careful not to dirty the walls. I'll beat you to death if you mess up. Second Uncle, in a bad mood, frowned and looked over. He saw the servants carefully carrying a batch of silk under old Zhang's direction. Aunt's eyes widened in disbelief, watching the glossy, luxurious fabrics being brought in. Su Lingyue gasped, they're so beautiful. Only little Do Ding remained devoted to his food, his small face buried in his bowl, cheeks puffed. Second Uncle asked blankly, where did all this come from? The gatekeeper old Zhang replied, Dalong brought it back. He said it was a gift from His Majesty. Hearing this, Second Uncle's first reaction was disbelief. Old Zhang said with joy, it's outside. His Majesty gave a total of 500 bolts of silk. With a clatter, Aunt's chopsticks dropped onto the table. 500 bolts. Aunt's heart raced wildly. These items were of various exquisite types. There was brocade, damask, fine gauze all finely crafted, and beautifully patterned. Aunt had shopped at fabric stores often, and her discerning eye told her, each piece here was worth more than the most expensive silks from those stores. And now, there were 500 bolts, of such fine and exquisite material. Aunt felt like she was overwhelmed by sudden joy. Second Uncle couldn't stay seated. He jumped up and strode outside, saying, I'll help. Su Qian was standing by the carriage, discussing with Song Tingfeng about settling the Sangbo case. After that, they planned to visit a friend. Su Qian spoke in an expectant tone. Speaking of Jia Fengxi, among the 24 top courtesans, I've only been with Fuxiang. I need to visit the rest someday. Song Tingfeng gave him a strange look. Aren't you and Fuxiang a couple? You should be working on buying her freedom now. Su Qian also gave him an odd look, wondering why ancient people always used public resources for personal matters. When Su Qian saw Second Uncle coming out to lend a hand, he quickly shouted, Second Uncle, don't carry those. Wait, Second Uncle, look over here. Su Qian dragged over a 60-pound box and tossed it over. You carry this. Second Uncle was just about to reach for it when Su Qian opened the box. A brilliant golden light immediately shone out, nearly blinding his eyes. Su Lingyue gently placed her hand on a bolt of silk, feeling its smooth and delicate texture. Her heart pounded with excitement. Aunt quickly swatted her hand away, saying, don't get it dirty. In her simple-minded way, Su Lingyue said, why are you so happy, Mom? These things were given to Big Brother by His Majesty, not to you. Aunt forced a stiff smile and said, well, I've always treated Dalong well, haven't I? Even as she said it, she didn't feel very confident. Su Lingyue nodded and said, yes, you have. After all, Big Brother is your financial burden. Aunt poked Su Lingyue on the forehead, saying, you brat. At that moment, mother and daughter saw Second Uncle walking in, dazed, holding a box. Aunt asked curiously, what's in your hands, Uncle? Second Uncle opened the box without hesitation and quickly closed it again. He then looked at his wife and asked, blinded yet? Aunt, stunned, nodded. Blinded. Su Qian, about to reach the peak moment of his life, sat down on a stool, smacked his lips and said, my throat is so dry. I've been busy all day and haven't had a decent cup of tea. Aunt, faced with all that gold and silk, immediately changed her attitude. You sit. Auntie will make you some tea. Su Qian took a sip of the tea Aunt handed over. Is there no milk? Su Qian asked. Auntie immediately replied, yes, we have milk. I have the freshest milk right here. Even innocent Su Lingyue, standing nearby, could barely stand to watch anymore. Su Qian pressed on shamelessly. Now I'm in the mood for some steamed eggs. Auntie, in a particularly good mood, didn't mind Su Qian's impudence this time. I'll have the kitchen make you some. But, Su Qian, still unashamed, said, Auntie, that's insincere. I want eggs made by your own hands. Auntie bit her lip, forced a smile and said, I'll make you some steamed eggs myself. When the eggs were ready, Su Qian, eating while talking, said, there are a lot of dirty clothes in the next courtyard. As an unlucky orphan with no parents, I can only wash them myself. Auntie gritted her teeth. Qian, you shouldn't speak that way. Auntie treats you like her own. I'll do the washing. At that moment, Su Qian felt a clarity of mind. The candle of his body burned steadily, and the resentment he had carried for so long finally dissipated. All that remained. Just then, Su Qian proposed to second uncle, why don't we sell this house, and buy a bigger mansion in the inner city? Auntie, her beauty shining through, lit up at these words. It had been her dream to own a large inner-city mansion, a grand house. Second uncle remained silent. Selling the house? He glanced around the hall, sighing. This is the family home. It's not something you just sell off. Your father and I grew up in this house. Su Qian raised his cup and took a sip of wine, calmly saying, then we won't sell. 8,000 taels of silver is enough to buy a bigger house in the inner city. After finishing his wine, he suddenly asked, Second uncle, am I your illegitimate child from another woman? With a puff, second uncle spat out his wine. The entire mouthful sprayed onto little Do Ding's face. He had aimed for the ground, but the little girl was too small, so it ended up right on her head and face. Little Do Ding was stunned, not knowing what she had done wrong, but she stayed strong and didn't cry. She licked the liquor off her face, and found it didn't taste good. Only then did she let out a wail. Second uncle plugged his ears, and glared at his nephew who spoke without thinking. What nonsense are you spouting? Su Qian, who was skilled in reading facial expressions, immediately made a judgment. When people act without thinking, their reactions most reflect their true feelings. Second uncle's expression didn't show guilt or calmness, and he didn't look suspicious or shocked either. Su Qian ruled out the possibility of being second uncle's illegitimate child. His suspicion wasn't without reason. Whenever second uncle's colleagues came to visit the house, they would point at Su Qian and say, this must be your son, or point at Su Erlang and say, your daughter is beautiful. What did this mean? It meant that Su Qian and second uncle looked very alike. From a genetic perspective, the two of them were related by blood. Su Qian shrugged and said, it was just a joke. I've never met my real parents, and I look so much like second uncle. By the way, Auntie, have you ever met my mother? Auntie stiffened and replied, of course I've met her. When your mother was pregnant with you, I even took care of her for a while. Your mother was very gentle. Unlike you. Auntie quickly stopped, almost reflexively scolding her nephew. Su Qian turned to second uncle. And what about my father? Second uncle paused. Your father. He was your father. He thought back for a moment and said, your grandparents passed away early. We two brothers grew up depending on each other. Your father was more talented than I was, but sadly, his life was too short. He died in the Battle of Shanhaiguan. Su Qian didn't ask any more questions. After quickly satisfying his hunger, he left the 500 bolts of brocade and silk at the main house, taking only a box filled with precious items back to his small courtyard. Storing gold at home was unsafe. Earlier at the night watchman's yamen, so many colleagues had witnessed what he brought back. If someone with ill intent, it might bring trouble for Auntie and the girls. Wei Yuan had mentioned that during this period, night watchmen would be assigned to discreetly protect and monitor the Su household, preventing retaliation from Dazong's Daoists. This also served as a deterrent against any scheming watchman. Nonetheless, he decided to store the box in the land book fragment. Meanwhile, in Uncle and Auntie's room, a fresh scent lingered after their bath. Auntie sat by the bed, wiping her black hair with a sweat towel. Su's second uncle sat cross-legged on a small couch nearby, meditating. Auntie teased him, rolling her eyes flirtatiously. You practice every day. Still haven't seen you bloom into anything impressive. Su's second uncle exhaled a long breath. Even though his meditation made him feel refreshed, there was a deep melancholy in his eyes. He had long since reached the peak of qi cultivation. No matter how much he trained, his energy wouldn't increase. The door to reaching the spirit stage remained firmly shut. Auntie stretched her chest proudly and asked, if you break through to the next stage, would you get a promotion? Su Pingji nodded. That's for sure. Auntie grumbled. Su Ningyan, that rascal, is all smug now. If it weren't for the brocade and silk, and that mansion in the inner city, I wouldn't bother with him. I'd tear into him. As she spoke, she sighed, but a smile of satisfaction appeared on her face. Unknowingly, that little brat has grown up. When I first took him from you, he was just like a little kitten. There was a knock on the door. From outside came Su Qian's voice. Second uncle, I forgot to tell you something. Auntie was startled. Auntie quickly burrowed under the quilt. Su Pingji stood up. Let's go to the study, he said. Su Qian replied. No need, second uncle. Just step out here and have a quick word. Auntie, clutching the quilt, hid behind the sheets to listen in. They murmured a few words to each other by the door, and then her husband returned. With a snap, he shut the door. Auntie poked her head out from the quilt. What did he say? She asked, glaring at Su Pingji. Did he secretly give you some private money? But then she paused. She saw her husband's slightly reddened eyes, and the moisture in them. Su Pingji closed his eyes. I finally see hope, he murmured softly. Hope for advancing my spiritual practice. Auntie looked bewildered, glancing outside the door. Then she pursed her lips tightly. It suddenly clicked. It was that gold-devouring beast he had mentioned before that brought hope. When Su Qian returned to his courtyard, Lingjue paused for a moment, lingering at the door for a few seconds, before gently pushing it open. As usual, he walked to the table and lit the candle. On the small couch sat a white-haired, elderly Daoist. His features were well-defined, his gaze calm. Su Qian smiled and greeted him. You're here. Daoist Jinlian folded his hands. I'm here. Su Qian sighed and said, you shouldn't have come. Daoist Jinlian raised his brows. What do you mean? Weren't we supposed to meet secretly today? Su Qian felt a bit deflated. Of course ancient people don't get this joke, he muttered. Maybe he should consider writing Gulong's novels in this era. Su Qian waved it off. I was just kidding, Daoist. Daoist Jinlian wasn't bothered by his words. Everyone had their quirks after all. The members of the Heaven and Earth Society were all strong personalities. How's the Sangbuan case? Su Qian considered his response. This case is extremely complicated, he said. There are too many factions involved. I've uncovered plenty of leads, but they're all chaotic, Su Qian said. To be honest, I've been a policeman for years, and I've never encountered something so tricky, he added. In his heart, he thought, we usually rely on surveillance for this. Su Qian laid out all the clues he had gathered, and his own deductions. For Daoist Jinlian, since joining the Heaven and Earth Society, he had built a basic level of trust with Daoist Jinlian. He felt that the Daoist was a good ally. Moreover, the Sangbo case didn't directly involve Jinlian's interests. If his escape to the Golden City was just a front, a prelude to the Sangbo case, and he was also the one who silenced the magistrate, then it was a bombshell revelation. Su Qian was internally spiraling, seeing everyone as a suspect. Everyone looked like an old eagle coin. Jinlian frowned and asked, you suspect the Northern King is behind it? He's made agreements with the Northern Demon Tribes and the Northeast Wu God Cult, and is attempting to usurp the throne. So he blew up Sangbo to release the first witness. Su Qian countered. What do you think? Jinlian looked at Su Qian, who had turned the question on him, and let out a long sigh. It all sounds reasonable at first glance, he said, but there's no solid evidence against either the first witness or the Northern King. The Northern King has been stationed at the border for years. I don't know him well, and it's a bit reckless to label him as scheming without proof. On top of that, the Northern King is a third rank and a fifth marquis. He might even aim for the second rank someday. Whether he actually wants to be emperor is another story. Of course, power tempts people, and if I said he would never rebel, that would be presumptuous. Su Qian had his own perspective. Aiming for the second rank doesn't conflict with wanting to be emperor, does it? That's just my hypothesis. I haven't confirmed it yet. When I gather enough evidence, it'll become clear whether the Northern King is the mastermind. But Daoist, he said, I feel like I can't investigate any further. Su Qian sighed. Although Emperor Yuanjing has ordered me to handle this case, the Northern King is a prince, and not just any prince. He commands a significant army. I can't just march into his residence and investigate openly. The old officials claim to be ill, so I can't go to the ministry to question them either. It's a tough situation. Daoist Jinlian squinted slightly at the mention of Emperor Yuanjing, and then he studied Su Qian with an indescribable expression. It's been years since anyone in court referred to him like that. Wait, Daoist Jinlian said. It feels like I've overlooked something. What did I overlook? Su Qian asked instinctively. The old Daoist replied cryptically. Patron, you seem a bit slow-witted today. Inwardly, Su Qian retorted. I'm not. Don't pin that on me. Patting his chest, he declared. I am absolutely loyal to His Majesty. Daoist Jinlian didn't push the issue, instead giving him a knowing smile. Su Qian quickly steered the conversation back. This case runs deep. Do you have any guidance for me? Daoist Jinlian chuckled. When you were pretending to be a Confucian scholar in the Heaven and Earth Society, you were very clever. Inwardly, Su Qian grumbled. I knew it. This old fox must have been watching us bicker in the chat group. While smiling smugly to himself, Daoist Jinlian said, let me analyze the situation for you. From what you've described, there are several discrepancies. Su Qian brightened. This lined up with his own suspicions. He chose to speak frankly with the Daoist, valuing his wisdom and experience. While he found the Daoist's slyness a bit off-putting, having such an ally provided a sense of security. After a moment of contemplation, Daoist Jinlian said, the first oddity is the inaction of the corrupt officials. If the suppression of Sangbo lasted 14 days, The first-generation corrupt official should have been the most anxious one, yet he's been unusually quiet. It's also possible that the cunning old man is no longer concerned with Shinlo and may be acting covertly. Su Qian remained silent. The first-generation and current corrupt officials must be at odds. The reason is simple. The master was suppressed, and the disciple then took the position as corrupt official and took over the Tianjian. Clearly, their relationship had soured. Otherwise, with a corrupt official of the first rank, no one could stop him from taking the Ren sect. Jilian continued. The second strange thing, Emperor Yuanjing. The day after the Sangbo incident, he cancelled the rewards. Doesn't that seem odd to you? Why let the tiger return to the mountain? Su Qian immediately replied. I've considered these points. At the time, I guessed that perhaps it was a tactic to lure the snake out of its hole. Unfortunately, I couldn't reach or understand the state of the corrupt officials or Yuanjing. Their level is too high. Daoist Jilian agreed. That makes sense. But you're not just here to talk about that, are you? You said there's something related to Sangbu. Su Qian nodded. To be precise, Heng Yuan's junior disciple might be involved. He disappeared for no reason, which only makes me more certain of my— Daoist Jilian wasn't surprised. So, you've been to Qinglong Temple and learned about Heng Yuan's identity? What do you mean? Su Qian grabbed the teapot, poured a cup of water, and continued after a sip. There was a monk at Qinglong Temple named Heng Hun. Over a year ago, he eloped with the legitimate daughter of Prince Yu, Princess Pingyang. Prince Yu was devastated and bedridden. Behind this event, there's a power struggle between the noble families. Heng Hun fled with Princess Pingyang to avoid capture, stole a magical artifact from Qinglong Temple that could mask auras. I suspect that the artifact eventually ended up in the hands of Jinwu Guard Centurion, Zhou Qixiong. Daoist Jilian listened patiently. Once Su Qian finished his analysis, the Daoist spoke. So, you want to use Heng Yuan to track down Heng Hui's whereabouts? And in doing so, confirm your theory. Su Qian nodded. That's my only lead for now. Daoist, do you remember? Heng Yuan mentioned that his junior was abducted, while the abbot of Qinglong Temple claimed Heng Hui eloped. Heng Yuan might have uncovered some clues. While investigating outside the temple, Jilian asked directly, you hope I can help you find him? Su Qian didn't deny it. That was indeed his second reason for inviting Jilian. On a moonlit night with scattered stars, far to the south, 100-strong force was trudging through the wilderness. Torches in hand, they marched in silence. Lena, wearing light cloth shoes, her skirt hem reaching her knees, revealed her long, slender legs. Her steps were light. Her bouncy, lively demeanor seemed out of place. This time, she was accompanying her tribe's elders on a journey of experience. Their destination was the sacred slumber of the ancient spirit. Lena thought to herself, once I figure out the cause of the spirit's awakening, I can share the information with the Heaven and Earth Society. That'll put everyone in my debt. But first, I need to ensure this won't endanger my tribe. Ahead, her brother Mozong turned back and softly scolded her. Lena, be serious. Lena wasn't afraid of him in the least. She teased brother. All the others have wives who can nag them. You're the only one without. All you do is scold me every day. She laughed, putting an arm around his shoulder. I hear the women in Dafeng are as fair as water. Their faces even whiter than steamed buns. Mozong, I'll bring you back a wife. Mozong snorted coldly. What good is a pretty wife? What I need is a woman who can tear a leopard apart with her bare hands, Mozong said. Lena deliberately made a regretful face and said, too bad. I heard from a friend that the Northern King's consort in Dafeng is very beautiful. The eldest princess is also very beautiful. And the Ren sect women are all national beauties, stunningly gorgeous. Mozong immediately turned his head, swallowed hard, and said, well, ask your friend just how beautiful they are. Wait, where did you even get such a friend? Lena ignored him, skipping happily ahead. The Gu tribe has 7 clans. They are both the beneficiaries and the guardians of the Gu god. According to legend, after the Gu god fell asleep, his spirit became the mind bone, his blood and flesh became the rib bone, his venom became the poison bone, his liver became medicine, his desires became the jade bone, his eyes became the heavenly bone, and his body fluids became the corpse bone. This is how the 7 clans of the Gu tribe came to be. Within the Gu tribe, there's a legend. On the day the Gu god reawakens, he will reclaim his power. The Gu tribe, no one hopes for the revival of this ancient beast, which rivals gods and Buddhas. Among them, the heavenly bone represents the Gu god's eyes, able to observe all of nature's laws. Thus, the Heavenly Bone Clan is responsible for creating laws. The Gu people follow the Heavenly Bone Clan's directives to farm and labor. In addition, the Heavenly Bone Clan also excels in divination and looking into the future. Lena left her place in the formation and approached the leader of the Heavenly Bone Clan, elderly woman. Grandma Heavenly Bone, wait for me, she called. Grandma Heavenly Bone lifted her wrinkled face, her gaze sharp as she looked at Lena. What brings you here, little one? She asked. Lena's eyes darted around as she carefully explained. Well, Grandma, a friend of mine, or rather, a friend of my friend, has been experiencing something strange lately. His luck is extraordinarily good, almost too good to believe. Grandma Heavenly Bone replied, well, that must be the blessing of a fortunate star. Is he a good person who often does good deeds? Asked Grandma Heavenly Bone. Lena fell into deep thought. Would you say number 3 is a good person? Maybe, Lena replied. But her good luck is always finding silver coins. She finds them every single day. A nearby middle-aged man burst into laughter. Finding silver coins, is that what you call luck? Little one, you're full of nonsense. The surrounding crowd erupted in laughter, breaking the previously solemn mood. Suddenly, Grandma Heavenly Bone's stern voice cut through. Silence. Her face turned serious. She grabbed Lena's hand and said urgently, little girl, where's your friend? Quickly, tell me. Lena frowned slightly, suddenly unsure what to say. The members of the Heavenly Bone clan exchanged confused looks. They couldn't understand why a young girl's casual comment had caused Grandma Heavenly Bone to react so strongly. Mozong, standing on tiptoe, peered ahead at the commotion. Father, something seems wrong, he said. The leader of the Rib Bone clan, standing tall, nodded and replied with a voice full of authority. I'll take a look. Standing over 9 feet tall, he towered above the rest. His imposing presence turned heads as he walked. What's going on, Grandma Heavenly Bone? He asked, hearing her father's voice. Lena turned and saw a towering, muscle-bound man with sharp features approaching. His massive frame dwarfed everyone around him. Grandma Heavenly Bone looked up and waved a hand, then turned back to Lena. Child, answer me. Grandma is waiting, she said. Lena, unsettled by the intensity of her reaction, asked, Grandma, what's going on? Do you also want to find silver coins every day like number 3's friend? Why won't Grandma Heavenly Bone let this go? Lena wondered. The entire group came to a stop. All the elite members of the Heavenly Bone clan turned their eyes toward Lena. Grandma Heavenly Bone turned around and told a young member of the clan, go inform the leaders of the other clans to take a short rest. Then, addressing Lena, she said, child, come with me over there to talk. You, Longtu, stay here, she ordered. Longtu, the chief of the Rib Bone clan, froze in place, silently watching as his daughter was led away by Grandma Heavenly Bone. The other 5 clan chiefs gathered around. What's going on, Longtu? The Rib Bone chief shook his head. Perhaps you should ask the Heavenly Bone clan. All Lena did was joke with Grandma. Who would have thought she'd react this way? What did she say? Lena said she has a friend who finds silver coins every day. Grandma Heavenly Bone, holding a torch, stopped under a tree. They were now far from the main group, with only faint torchlights visible in the distance. Grandma Heavenly Bone, no longer agitated, asked Lena, child, tell me everything, what's really going on? Lena replied, I recently met a friend who told me about another friend. This friend keeps finding money out of nowhere and feels troubled by it, not knowing why this happens. Grandma Heavenly Bone squinted and asked, how do they find the silver? How much? Anything unusual besides finding silver? Tell me every detail. Lena pursed her lips and said, I don't know, it's just a friend of a friend, after all. But according to my friend, it seems that as long as they keep finding silver, they can live a well-off life. Lena, out of curiosity, thought to herself, the Heavenly Bone clan can observe everything. They must know a lot of things. So she asked a series of questions. Who wouldn't be curious about someone who finds silver coins every day? Grandma Heavenly Bone pressed further. Where is that person? Lena thought for a moment. Number 3 is in Dafeng's capital city. Her friend should be there too. Then she hesitated, adding, I think it's in Dafeng's capital city. Grandma Heavenly Bone was shocked. She shook her head repeatedly. Impossible. It shouldn't be. There's no way it's in Dafeng's capital city. This doesn't make sense. Lena, who prided herself on being clever, sensed that something was off. If it were just a trivial... Grandma Heavenly Bone wouldn't have pulled her aside to talk in private, much less shown such concern. She asked, Grandma, what's going on? Grandma Heavenly Bone looked at the innocent young girl. That friend of yours. It's probably them who finds silver coins every day, not some so-called friend of a friend. Lena's lips parted slightly, her pale blue eyes widening in realization. Number 3 lied to me? I can't believe. I thought number 3 was a chivalrous and upright scholar. Didn't the elders in my tribe say, scholars are supposed to be steadfast, honest and righteous? Grandma Heavenly Bone sighed softly, lifting her gaze toward the moon. She said in a low voice, many years ago, 2 thieves, for some unknown purpose, broke into a wealthy household and stole a very important item. So important that its whereabouts remain a mystery to this day. The thieves themselves have never reappeared. Some members of the household know it was stolen. Others still have no idea it's missing. Lena blinked. What was stolen? Grandma Heavenly Bone didn't explain. She simply repeated, something very important, very important. Before long, the 100-strong elite Gu tribe team reached Jiuan. The valley was filled with toxic mists, giving rise to poisonous plants, venomous insects, and fierce beasts. It was a natural breeding ground for Gu insects, providing the Gu tribe with an endless supply of raw materials. Lena had been here before, but only on the outskirts, catching goo insects. She had never ventured deeper. The group continued forward in silence. The insect repellent powder and anti-venom pills protected them from the poisonous mists and venomous creatures. For the Poison Bone clan members, this place was like a second home. They were in high spirits, moving along well-trodden paths deeper into the great ravine. Gradually, rustling sounds emerged from the thick foliage and underbrush. The poisonous insects living here were disturbed by the unexpected intruders. Suddenly, a man screamed. It was a man in simple clothing. He lunged at a male companion, yelling, "I need a woman." His crazed cries echoed, and more people began to act strangely. Some men clung to trees, and some women hugged them too. The other tribe members remained calm, even pointing and laughing at the scene. Lena realized these people had been poisoned by Jade Valley toxins. Jade Valley clan members dispersed, treating the affected tribe members. They pulled black, jelly-like worms from their pouches and applied them to the poisoned individuals' chests, necks, and even their trousers. The worms latched onto their skin like leeches, piercing into the blood vessels and greedily consuming the toxins. Before long, the worms swelled up, satiated, and detached from the skin. The poisoned tribesmen's symptoms improved immediately, while some who had been poisoned longer felt weak and drained. Those exposed for a shorter period were hardly affected. The group ventured deeper into the hunting valley. Eventually, they stopped on a level clearing. There were no plants here, only jagged, uneven rocks. Amidst the poisonous mist, Lena saw a towering stone statue. It appeared to be a man in loose robes, wearing a high, ceremonial crown. Lena tugged at her brother Mozang's sleeve. "Who is that?" she asked. The man with the scar on his left cheek, with an untamed and fierce demeanor, said firmly, "I don't know his name," Mozang said, "but you must have heard his title, the Confucian Sage." In the small Su family courtyard, a candle flickered dimly. Master Jinlian sat cross-legged on a cot, shaking his head as he spoke. "I've been searching for Heng Yuan's whereabouts, but so far, all I know is that he's still in the city. I don't know exactly where." Su Qian pressed him. "You can't locate him through the Book of the Earth?" Su Qian remembered that the previous number 9 had been able to pinpoint his location using the Book of the Earth. Given that number 6 had been missing for nearly 10 days, Jinlian should have found him by now. Jinlian sighed. "I suspect, or rather, his Book of the Earth fragment has been sealed." Su Qian was bewildered. "If it's sealed, what can we do?" Jinlian chuckled confidently. "Unless I can get close to him, I'll have to rely on the most tedious, yet reliable method. I've spent this past week scouring half the outer city on foot. If number 6 Book of the Earth fragment comes within 30 zhang of me, I'll sense it immediately, even if it's sealed. Have no doubt about it. This is the natural advantage of a heaven-grade artifact." Su Qian thought to himself, "You're really flaunting it." Still, he felt relieved. Even if the method was slow, it was effective. What he feared most was having no options at all. Jinlian continued, "If I get any news about number 6, I'll let you know immediately. It's better for you to handle it than me. I'll need the Night Watcher's assistance as well. After all, this is the capital city, under the Night Watcher's jurisdiction." At that, Jinlian seemed to recall something. "By the way, what's Wei Yuan's opinion on this case?" Su Qian shook his head and sighed. "He hasn't shared much. He just told me to work hard." At that moment, he noticed Jinlian's peculiar expression. Jinlian looked both skeptical and aggrieved, as if silently asking, "Do you take me for a fool?" Su Qian asked, exasperated, "Master, why are you looking at me like that?" Master Jinlian said with displeasure, "Wei Yuan probably wants to turn you into an undercover pawn for the Night Watchers or drive you out of the capital." Su Qian's eyes widened in shock. Jinlian appeared very satisfied with Su Qian's reaction. "The fact that he entrusted you with a fragment of the Book of the Earth shows how highly he values you, but his complete lack of guidance on your current case proves he's eager to see you Emperor Yuanjing, forcing you out of the capital." Su Qian bristled, wanting to defend Wei Yuan, but the words stuck in his throat, because Wei Yuan had indeed hinted at such intentions before. After considering this, Su Qian retorted, "No, that's not right. Wei Yuan may be hands-off, but he's only letting me handle it on my own. He's not indifferent, nor is he interfering." Jinlian's tone carried a hint of exasperation as he replied, "You're underestimating Wei Yuan. That man, with his status as a eunuch, wields immense power. As a eunuch, he commands an army of hundreds of thousands. He won the Shanhaiguan campaign, even overshadowing the Northern Prince. His abilities, tactics, and cunning are second to none. I can assure you, he knows far more about the Sampa case than you do." Su Qian sat in silence, stunned. "So, it's really just a hollow father-son relationship?" Jinlian studied him carefully. "However, I can't understand why Wei Yuan is pushing you to leave the capital. He's not lacking in pawns." With that parting shot, Jinlian prepared to leave. "Is there anything else?" Naturally, Su Qian wouldn't miss the chance to benefit further. "I want to pay a visit to the Earl of Pingyuan's residence," he said, "but security there is tight. I have a way in, but I don't have a silent method to subdue anyone. I was hoping you could assist." Jinlian asked. You're after the Earl's flute? Su Qian nodded. Hongyuan mentioned that his junior was abducted by Yazis. He must have used it somewhere. Since I can't find Hongyuan now, then let's try breaking through via the Earl of Pingyuan, Jinlian said. But he's already dead. Su Qian smiled. He still has his flute, doesn't he? Jinlian Daoist frowned slightly, thinking this guy must be trying something new. He asked, puzzled. With your current position, why not simply pay a visit and ask directly? Su Qian replied nonchalantly. The Earl of Pingyuan is a hereditary noble after all. Without evidence, I can't resort to violence. Also, a standard investigation would be too constraining. To get the answers, I need a combination of overt and covert methods. In the realm of primordial spirit, the Daoist sects are unrivaled. Making him cooperate and tell me everything he knows should be achievable, right? Jinlian Daoist remarked, you seem quite experienced. It doesn't align with the life experience you've had so far. Su Qian, seeing that Jinlian agreed, felt relaxed enough to joke around. Some cars look fierce, but the power under the hood is surprisingly strong, he teased. Jinlian Daoist frowned. What do you mean by that? Su Qian gave an enigmatic smile. I mean, you're only seeing my surface. A person's life is always more colorful than the words in a file. Jinlian Daoist nodded, choosing not to delve further. Relax your mind. I'll guide my spirit into your sea of consciousness. Su Qian raised a hand. You're using your primordial spirit again? Jinlian didn't deny it. My body's injured, and my power is greatly reduced. But my own spirit is intact. This will let me perform at my best. Also, there are informants in the inner city. I can't simply walk out with you. Ordinary bronze badges I can hide from, but if the golden badge catches me, it would be bad for both of us. Moreover, the capital is full of hidden threats. The dangers might not only come from the Night Watchers. Su Qian was at a loss. The reasoning made sense, sure, but changing his primordial spirit's form seemed too much. It was going too far. Still, he hadn't entirely agreed to this. Although he trusted Daoist Jinlian to a certain degree, he wasn't ready to allow someone's primordial spirit to invade his sea of consciousness. Moreover, he wasn't entirely sure that Jinlian wouldn't accidentally uncover some secrets, like memories from a past life, or certain unsavory details. Daoist Jinlian sighed. Then what do you propose? At that moment, a piercing cat's cry came from the roof. Su Qian broke into a grin. He pointed upwards. Trouble yourself, Daoist. Jinlian Daoist's face darkened instantly. Thus, the orange cat Daoist was born. Soon enough, Jinlian Daoist's primordial spirit had possessed the black cat. Su Qian donned his night watcher uniform and left the courtyard openly. Anyone they encountered on the way, seeing his uniform, didn't even bother asking questions. They just found it curious that this night watcher had a black cat on his shoulder. It was only when they encountered other night watchers that Su Qian was stopped. But producing the gold token and mentioning that he was on an official investigation cleared up any issues. Su Qian didn't rush, but with his current pace, he reached the vicinity of the Pingyuan Earl's residence in just an hour. Su Qian looked around. Seeing that the area was deserted, he found a secluded corner and took out a page from his magic book. On it was recorded a certain incantation. He used his aura to ignite the page, and an invisible force enveloped both him and the black cat. The Confucian art of words becoming law. The black cat's golden eyes watched closely, and Daoist Jinlian suddenly thought of many details. No wonder number 3 portrayed himself as a scholar of Yunlu Academy. It wasn't just because his cousin was an academy scholar. He himself seemed to have a significant connection to the academy. Otherwise, how would he have a book of incantations? Daoist Jinlian immediately ruled out the possibility that his cousin had given it to him. First of all, ordinary students could never acquire something this valuable. Secondly, for scholars, how could such a treasure be easily given away? They would be reluctant even to use it. The scholars of Yunlu Academy have always looked down on warriors. Why would they gift him such a treasure? As Daoist Jinlian pondered this question, he saw Su Qian pull a cloak out of a fragment of the earth book and drape it over himself. The black cat shook its head. Why are you so skilled at this? Su Qian suddenly spoke up and asked. Before we proceed, I remembered 2 trivial matters. I'd like to consult you on them. Daoist, the black cat, its voice resonating in the air, replied, go ahead. Su Qian pondered briefly and said, does Linglong only favor royal family members? The black cat nodded. Theoretically, yes. Linglong is drawn to noble aura, not necessarily royal blood. Su Qian nodded thoughtfully. One more thing. Today, when I went to the imperial city to investigate a case, I heard that Linglong suddenly went berserk. The guards couldn't restrain her, and she nearly injured Princess Lingen. The black cat remained silent for a long time. Su Qian called softly, Daoist? The black cat looked around warily, and Daoist Jinlian's solemn voice emerged. The sealed object from Sangpa has entered the city. Su Qian was shocked. How can you be sure? The black cat explained. Linglong has an innate mastery of aura detection, far beyond ordinary qi cultivation techniques. She can sense things that others cannot. No wonder Chu Kaiwai's aura technique detected nothing unusual. His skills are inadequate. Is that why Linglong fawns over me? She can see the strange fortune around me. If that's the case, could the witness have seen it too? The thought made Su Qian uneasy. The sealed object from Sangpa has entered the city. Linglong sensed the threat, so she became frantic, and desperately wanted to flee the imperial city. No, I must find a way to inform Wei Yuan of this tomorrow. The conversation ended. Su Qian stuck close to the walls of several courtyards, making his way to the outer wall of the Pingyuan Marquis Mansion's rear courtyard. He leaped over the wall in a single bound. After landing, he cautiously looked around. He confirmed that the sound of his leap had not alerted any of the experts within the mansion. Using a concealment spell, Su Qian evaded several groups of guards patrolling the estate and reached the largest courtyard on the eastern side. Just as he entered the courtyard, his ears twitched. He heard loud, unrestrained voices and a man's heavy breathing. He crept to the base of a window, focused energy in his fingertip, and poked through the tough window paper, peering through the small hole. He saw directly onto the master bed inside, where two figures were moving in full view. The scene was clear to Su Qian's eyes. Su Qian mused to himself, timing is everything, huh? At that moment, he heard a faint sound above him, the sound of a cat's claws piercing the window paper. Su Qian looked up and saw the black cat standing on its hind legs atop his head, its front paws pressed against the window, its face glued to the hole, watching intently. Daoist, you enjoy this sort of thing too, huh? Su Qian teased. He must be the Pingyuan Marquis heir. Shall we just barge in? Daoist Jianlian rejected Su Qian's suggestion. We'll wait until they're done. That's when a man is most vulnerable. Su Qian silently complained. Daoist, you'll regret this. You don't understand how dangerous warriors can be. After all, we're dealing with a powerful martial expert. After 2 incense sticks time had passed, Daoist Jianlian finally sighed. Fine, I admit you were right. Su Qian thought happily. Of course I was. Back when I first slept with Fuxiang, I lasted until midnight. After a long while, the activity inside finally ended. Su Qian and the black cat prepared to circle around and enter the house through the front door. Subdue the opponent with lightning-fast means. But at this moment, Su Qian suddenly felt a terrifying chill. Goosebumps rose on his skin. It felt as if blood-red thorns pierced through his flesh. An inexplicable fear filled his mind. Something was coming. Su Qian suddenly heard a guard shout from afar. Who dares trespass? Lord Pingyuan. Before the words were finished, they turned into a scream. Next came the shockwave of an energy explosion. Screams echoed one after another. Then everything fell into a deathly silence. Lord Pingyuan, who had just been in a dazed state, heard the commotion. Without even putting on his clothes, he quickly jumped out of bed, grabbed the sword hanging on the wall, and rushed out with a grim expression. But as soon as he stepped outside, he regretted it. A figure in a black robe appeared in the courtyard. His face was hidden beneath a hood. The aura he emitted made Lord Pingyuan's legs tremble. He only wanted to flee. He managed to ask, "Who are you?" A raspy voice came from under the hood. "I've come to collect a debt." The black-robed man raised his head, revealing a pale face. Lord Pingyuan screamed in terror, his voice trembling as he spoke. "It's you. Aren't you already dead? I saw you die with my own eyes." The black-robed man rasped. "I died, but I crawled out from hell." He raised his right hand. That hand looked like it belonged to a demon, completely blood-red. The moment Su Qian saw the hand, his fear exploded. The blood-red hand created a vortex of energy, pulling Lord Pingyuan into its palm. Lord Pingyuan kicked his legs frantically. Suddenly, his flesh withered. In an instant, he turned into a dried corpse. A moment ago, he had been alive and well. The next moment, Su Qian felt as if lightning flashed through his mind. A shriveled corpse lay on the ground. The black-robed man sneered coldly. The karmic cycle of vengeance is in motion. He crushed the dried corpse into powder. After killing, the black-robed man turned his head. His cold, sinister gaze pierced towards Su Qian's hiding spot. He stretched out his palm towards the window. A swirling vortex of energy formed. Su Qian's scalp went numb with fear at that moment. He realized he had been discovered. His feet seemed rooted to the ground. His body leaned backward, but he was gradually being pulled toward the man, toward the abyss-like palm of death. Su Qian reached into his chest pocket and took out a pill given to him by Kai Wei. Without hesitation, he stuffed all the pills into his mouth. Then he gripped the handle of his black gold long sword, calming all his emotions. A flash of dark golden light cut through the night. He unleashed the heaven and earth slash technique with a roar. Unfortunately, the black-robed man caught the attack with one hand, and he remained completely unharmed. Su Qian's mind shook, his pupils constricting slightly. The force of his grip caused the base of his thumb to crack, and his right arm cramped from the strain. This is an enemy I can't defeat with one strike. Facing such an opponent, the best advice was not to fight again, but to flee. At that moment, a black cat leapt forward and spoke human words, "Run." It pounced at the black-robed man. In the energy shockwave, the black cat's body shattered mid-air. Daoist golden lotus spiritual form manifested and struck the man. Su Qian silently prayed for the old Daoist's safety. "Take care, Daoist." Without looking back, he seized the opportunity to leap onto the rooftop and escape over the wall. He sprinted without daring to look back, jumping repeatedly across rooftops. This was the first time Su Qian had faced a high-ranked expert, and the fear still lingered in his heart. Without Daoist Golden Lotus sacrificing himself, he would have certainly died in the next round. There had been no time to use any magic spells. Even with the Daoist's help, even magic spells would likely be ineffective again. The piercing, bone-chilling fear was something Su Qian had never experienced before. At this moment, two noticed Su Qian, who was now wearing a black robe. Both of them drew their long blades. "Who goes there?" they shouted angrily. Su Qian removed his hood and showed his gold badge. "It's me, Su Qian." By now, he was a renowned figure in the night watchman's office. First, 2 golden badges had fought over him out of jealousy. Then, there was the incident of slashing Zhuyin Luo with a blade. Everyone in the office knew who he was. After putting away his badge, Su Qian coughed violently a few times. Tasting blood in his throat, he explained, "While at Lord Pinjuan's estate, I encountered an assassin. I am investigating a case under royal orders," and ran into the assassin head-on. The 2 night watchmen were stunned. "An assassin at Lord Pingyuan's estate again?" Su Qian continued. "The assassin is extremely dangerous. Do not act recklessly. Sound the alarm immediately." Their expressions turned serious as they took out copper tubes from their belts. With a flick of their fingers, a dark red flare shot into the sky. It exploded high above. Seeing this, Su Qian felt relieved. "I'll go back and recover now. You 2 wait for reinforcements. If you encounter someone in a black robe besides me, make sure to avoid them." At this moment, Su Qian noticed a figure on a distant rooftop, an orange cat. Its deep eyes stared at him intently. Su Qian was puzzled. Why is this cat following me? Then he realized, it's the Daoist. Su Qian picked up the cat and hid in a corner. He exhaled and spoke again. "Daoist, where did you get this cat? I knew you'd be fine." Su Qian spoke with guilt. "Daoist, I completely lost the will to fight earlier." The orange cat spoke in a weary tone. "It's natural for ordinary people to instinctively flee when faced with a monster. The gap between you and him is even greater than the gap between a cat and a tiger." Su Qian rolled his eyes. "Daoist, is that really the best comparison?" He quickly changed the subject. "If I'm not mistaken, he must be the sealed entity suppressed beneath Sangbo." As Su Qian spoke, he took out some wound medicine and bandages to treat himself. The damage to his palm had been mitigated by the pills he took earlier, alleviating the weakness caused by the heaven and earth slash. He no longer felt the overwhelming exhaustion of his body being drained. Daoist Golden Lotus was shocked. "What makes you think so, Su Qian?" He continued. "The explosion at the Yongzhen Shanhe temple that day resulted in the deaths of 300 soldiers patrolling the area. All of them died in the same manner, turning into dry corpses." Daoist Golden Lotus nodded in realization. "I see." After a moment of silence, he added, "But you're mistaken. What's sealed beneath Sangbo isn't the first-generation witness." Su Qian nodded without arguing. If it were the first-generation witness, he wouldn't waste time killing a small figure. Lord Pinjuan's disciple died in extreme fear, as if he recognized the black-robed man. Unless the one who killed the soldiers at Sangbo and blew up the Yongzhen Shanhe temple was someone who infiltrated Sangbo, but that possibility has long been ruled out. No expert could possibly infiltrate Sangbo. Su Qian sighed. "I know, but I have a vague suspicion. I just need to confirm it." The orange cat jumped off his shoulder. "My spiritual form has been severely damaged, and I might regress in power. I need you to do me a favor." Su Qian, wanting to repay the life-saving debt, said, "Please, Daoist, tell me." The orange cat spoke. "Seek Luo Yuheng on my behalf, and ask for a pill of energy gathering." Su Qian, confused, asked, "Luo Yuheng?" Daoist Golden Lotus replied, "The guardian of the human sect. She is technically my junior apprentice sister." Su Qian chuckled awkwardly. "Daoist, you hold quite a high status within the sect, huh? To think that the guardian of the human sect is your junior sister. Wait, a beautiful Daoist priestess." Su Qian pretended to feel troubled. "Do you have any token of proof?" The orange cat gave a human-like, bitter smile. "Just show him the earth book. Whether he gives you the pill or not will depend on his mood." Su Qian was dumbfounded. "Depends on his mood?" The orange cat explained. "The human sect and heaven sect are mortal enemies. The earth sect's relationship with both isn't tense, but it's not exactly good either." Su Qian thought to himself, "Wow, your Daoist sect is really messy. A family constantly fighting and making up?" Despite his thoughts, he nodded. "I'll give it a try tomorrow." Hearing this, the orange cat swiftly darted away. A moment later, its voice echoed from the rooftop. "I'll come find you tomorrow." Jiang Luzhong crouched on the ground in the courtyard, his face dark. A thin layer of brownish powder coated the ground. He picked up a tiny piece of dried flesh. The flesh was very dry, like air-dried jerky ground into powder. Dozens of bronze badges surrounded Lord Pinjiwan's estate. By the time they arrived, the entire estate had been massacred. Lord Pinjiwan's family, including all the servants, were dead. The corpses were identical in appearance, as if they had been air-dried for years. Jiang Luzhong felt like thousands of goats were running wild in his mind. I was on duty during the last attack on Lord Pingyuan too. Why does all the bad luck keep falling on me? At that moment, a silver badge came out of the house. He reported, Chief Jiang, there's a survivor inside. Jiang Luzhong stood up with a grim face, tossed away the piece of flesh, and crossed the threshold into the house. His gaze swept the room, locking onto a terrified woman clutching a blanket. She was Lord Pingyuan's concubine. Jiang Luzhong scrutinized her. Concubines in noble households were a common occurrence. It was typical for high-ranking officials to take concubines, often with significant age differences. Once their patron died, these women had only two options, either to work as servants like the maids, or they attached themselves to a new heir. Jiang Luzhong asked, did you see or hear anything? The woman shook her head. I was with the young master at the time, she obediently said. Afterwards, I fell into a deep sleep. Jiang Luzhong scanned the surroundings. Finding nothing suspicious, he ordered her to get dressed and to be taken to the night watchman's office. At that moment, a silver badge urgently reported, we haven't found Lord Pinjiwan's body. Jiang Luzhong cast a deep glance toward the courtyard's graves. Stop searching. But just as he finished speaking, another voice called from outside, Sir, there's something here. Jiang, feeling uneasy, hurried over to a window facing the bedroom. He saw two holes poke through the window paper. They provided a clear view of the bedroom. Besides the killer, there was someone else here at the time. Jiang Luzhong pondered silently for a while, then asked, who first discovered the situation at Lord Pinjiwan's estate? A silver badge responded, 2 patrolmen. They'll summon them here. Soon, 2 patrolmen were brought over. Jiang asked, when you discovered the situation, did you see any suspicious figures nearby? Both patrolmen shook their heads simultaneously. We didn't see anyone suspicious. We weren't the ones who found the scene. Jiang Luzhong froze in surprise. He asked again, it wasn't you who found the scene? The patrolman replied, it was a patrolman, Su Qian. Jiang Luzhong's eyes lit up. That kid? Meanwhile, Su Qian returned to his courtyard. Without even removing his clothes, he collapsed into bed. 3 hours later, he woke up naturally. He exhaled deeply, feeling sore and numb. The discomfort was hard to bear. Quickly dressing, he left the courtyard, mounted his horse, and rode toward Qinglong Temple. However, upon arriving at his destination, he received unexpected news. Abbot Panchu had gone to the western regions. A round-faced monk informed him from the side courtyard. To blank expression, the abbot also departed. I truly have no idea why this time. Su Qian was speechless. So he's already avoiding me? How much of a psychological shadow have I left on him? Abbot Hanshu had once said that Qinglong Temple's duty was to monitor the sealed entity beneath Sangbo. He had hinted at plans to head west that day. Maybe the old monk will take a monkey disciple along the way, he thought. That would be interesting. Su Qian said with a smile. I need to trouble you with a request, master. The supervising monk, as if guarding against a thief. Su Qian continued. I want to see a portrait of Hung Hui. If there isn't one in the temple, please have someone draw it immediately. The monk seemed relieved, thinking Zu's request was simple. At least this time, he's not causing any major trouble. A short time later, he returned with a painting and handed it to Su Qian. Su Qian took it and unrolled it slowly. The monk in the portrait had delicate features, with bright, spirited eyes. A handsome man with striking looks. It really is him, Su Qian confirmed. The black-robed man from last night was Hung Hui. Though his demeanor had drastically changed, his facial features still faintly resembled the original. Hung Hui from Qinglong Temple might have ties to the disturbances at Sangbo. The 6th letter had confidently claimed that his junior brother was kidnapped. Recalling the conversation between Lord Pinjiwan's disciple and the black-robed man, Su Qian felt a surge of suspicion. He was eager to confirm it. If not for his weakened state last night, he would have left the city that very night. It's really Hung Hui. Damn, it's really Hung Hui. But how could it be him? What connection does he have with the sealed entity beneath Sangbo? This means it wasn't the first-generation witness after all. No wonder the current inspector wasn't in a hurry and pretended to be ill. But if it's not the first-generation witness, then what could it be? What I can think of is that the sealed entity may be connected to Hung Hui, just a mere monk. There's no way he could have orchestrated such a major case. Someone must be behind him. Could it be King Jinbei? Su Qian left Qinglong Temple deep in thought. He returned to the capital and went straight to the night watchman's office. With a clear goal in mind, he headed to Haoqi Tower, intending to tell Wei Yuan the truth. Meanwhile, a gifted child nicknamed Little Doubting was still half asleep this morning. His body, however, got up on its own, waking up the maidservant. With his eyes still closed, he got dressed and washed, under the maid's assistance. Soon after, when the aroma of rice porridge and meat buns hit his nose, Little Doubting's eyes snapped open excitedly. He happily realized that while asleep, he had somehow made it to the dining table. He asked, "Where's Big Brother?" He asked because Big Brother, being a foodie, was usually the first to sit at the table, eagerly waiting for the delicious meat buns. "If he's not here," Little Doubting said with a grin, "then those meat buns are all mine." Just as he finished speaking, he sniffed again. It smells so good." Aunt urged him, "If it smells good, then hurry up and eat." Little Doubting looked toward the source of the aroma. "It's not coming from here." At that moment, Chu Kaiwei entered, carrying several packages. She asked, "Where's Su Ningyan?" "Schwerer," one of the maids, muttered under her breath. "Why does this girl come uninvited every time?" "Still," she answered politely, "she's probably still sleeping." Chu Kaiwei shook her head and said, "She's not there. I just came from her courtyard." But as she finished, her attention was drawn to the chubby little girl whose wide, innocent eyes were sparkling with anticipation as she looked at her packages. Chu Kaiwei softened and asked, "Do you want some?" Little Doubting nodded vigorously, clearly excited. Chu Kaiwei smiled, "Then I'll share some with you." At that moment, second Uncle Su coughed twice. Casting a stern look at the greedy little girl, he said earnestly, "Lin Yin, remember, our guest. Only after she's finished can you have your turn." Little Doubting furrowed his brow, as if making a difficult decision. However, he was easy to persuade. As long as there was food involved, Chu Kaiwei patted his head affectionately. Such a good boy. As she ate, her mind drifted to the events of the previous night. A few minutes later, she noticed something strange. To her surprise, the 3 to 4 pounds of date pastries she had all disappeared. Could the little girl have secretly eaten them? She glanced at Xuelinging, who stood nearby. The young girl wasn't even tall enough to reach the table. Little Doubting's eyes welled with tears. In a heartbroken tone, he asked, "Sister, are you teasing me?" Meanwhile, Schwerer, who had been watching silently, felt as though she was seeing a glimpse of a grown-up Su Lingying. At Haoqi Tower, Wei Yuan listened to Jiang Luzhong's report. He nodded and said, "Understood. Any progress on the capture of the Yazi organization?" Jiang Luzhong cupped his hands and reported, "We have been investigating covertly without alerting any officials or factions. After Lord Pingyuan's death, they became more cautious. But since they haven't been targeted, they're still in the capital for now. We can strike at any time." Wei Yuan mused aloud. "It seems Lord Pingyuan's disciple inherited control of the Yazi organization. Capture them while they're still unaware of his death." Jiang Luzhong saluted and accepted the order. However, he hesitated, as if wanting to say more. Wei Yuan noticed and said, "If you have something to say, speak." Jiang Luzhong shared his suspicion. Su Qian was present when Lord Pingyuan's disciple was killed. I don't know why he infiltrated the estate, but he must have seen the killer. At that moment, a silver badge reported, "Sir Wei, Su Qian requests an audience." Wei Yuan smiled and said, "Perfect timing. Let him in." Soon, Su Qian reached the top floor of Haoqi Tower. Wei Yuan greeted him with a smile, his tone warm and gentle, without a hint of reproach. "Jiang said you visited Lord Pingyuan's estate last night?" Su Qian calmly answered, "I was there investigating a case." Jiang Luzhong was momentarily stunned, his brows furrowing deeply. He suspected Su Qian was lying. Lord Pingyuan had died before the Sangbo incident. Apart from ties to the Yazi organization, there were no clues linking Lord Pingyuan to the Sangbo case. Wei Yuan remained calm. "Did you find anything?" Su Qian didn't answer immediately. His gaze lingered briefly on Jiang Luzhong. Wei Yuan, accustomed to Zu's cautious nature, dismissed the others, saying, "Let the golden badge leave first." Jiang Luzhong could only leave in frustration. He walked away reluctantly. Once Jiang Luzhong was out of earshot, Su Qian finally spoke. "Lord Wei, I did indeed see last night's attacker. I also confirmed his identity." Wei Yuan asked, "Who was it?" Su Qian answered honestly, "It was Heng Huwei, a monk from Qinglong Temple, the same monk who stole the temple's artifact, eloped with Princess Pingyang. I suspect he is connected to the sealed entity at Sangbo." Wei Yuan glanced at him. "What makes you think so?" Su Qian explained. "Lord Pingyuan's disciple died in the same manner as the soldiers who perished during the Sangbo explosion." Wei Yuan smiled. "You've done well. This is a very useful clue." Su Qian bowed and said, "Then I'll take my leave." As he left, he thought to himself, "Since Wei Yuan seems eager to adopt me, I won't insist on further help from him. I just want to quietly work in the office." As Su Qian left Haoqi Tower, he saw Jiang Luzhong waiting below. Jiang approached, frowning. "What's going on?" Su Qian paused and thought. "The Pingyuan case is being handled by Jiang." Jiang Luzhong sighed in frustration. "Both father and son are my cases now." Su Qian chuckled softly. But then, he told Jiang about the situation with Heng. Jiang Luzhong's expression shifted to one of realization, though he was also deeply shocked. Su Qian then spoke earnestly, "Chief Jiang, we should work together to handle this case. This way, you not only close the case of Lord Pingyuan, but also get involved in the Sangbo case. I've almost finished Why not share the credit?" Jiang Luzhong chuckled softly. "Deal." Su Qian smiled sincerely. A capable martial officer had been successfully persuaded to join his side. If Wei Yuan won't help me, I'll just find my own allies. As they continued talking, they saw Wei Yuan gracefully descending the stairs. Noticing them standing by the entrance, Wei Yuan casually said, Lu Zhong, come with me on a trip. Su Qian watched them leave. Guessing that Lord Pinjiwan's disciple's murder had caused a stir at court, Su Qian left the office, riding his horse toward the royal city. He didn't ride fast, as he wanted to organize his thoughts. Maybe my assumption is wrong. Perhaps the mastermind isn't King Jinbei. King Jinbei had ambitions of rebellion, collaborating with northern demons and northeastern shamans to destroy the Sangbo seal, releasing the first-generation witness in an attempt to cause chaos in the capital. But now I'm starting to doubt whether the sealed entity is the first-generation witness. Also, if King Jinbei is the mastermind, Heng Hui's involvement doesn't make sense. Heng Hui is tied to conflicts between the civil faction and the noble faction. Blaming this on King Jinbei feels forced. The priority now is to find Heng Hui. Once we capture him, all mysteries will be solved. To catch Heng Hui, I need to locate number 6. Number 6 is Heng Hui's senior brother. He's unlikely to resort to silencing him. The silhouette of the royal city came into view. Su Qian's ears twitched. Someone was calling his name. Chu Kaiwei caught up on horseback, complaining, I went to the Su residence this morning, but you weren't there. I just went to the night watchman's office. You still weren't there. Song Tingfeng said, you might have gone to Jia Fangxi to fool around with Fuxiang. Su Qian responded seriously, that's a slander on my character. I never go to places like Jia Fangxi. As he said this, he guiltily covered his eyes with his hand. Don't use your insight rune on me. Though I'm an upright man, I don't like being observed with that rune. Chu Kaiwei tilted her head and teased. They say Fuxiang is your lover. Su Qian immediately and firmly denied it. Fuxiang is just a friend I recently made, not my lover. Seeing his flustered reaction, Chu Kaiwei decided not to press further. Instead, she returned to the main topic. The Astronomical Bureau has detected demonic energy, just like on the day of the Sangbo explosion. I came specifically to inform you. Su Qian sighed. I'm already aware of it. I nearly died facing the attacker. Changing the subject, he asked, do you still have those strength pills? Chu Kaiwei replied, next time. I didn't bring any with me today. Su Qian shook his head in refusal. I don't want them next time. I want them today. Chu Kaiwei urged her horse forward a few steps, then turned back with a smile. Fine, I'll come to your place before dusk. But now, I need to visit the eldest princess. I'll be— As she rode away, Su Qian muttered, this foodie is probably off to either the princess residence or some restaurant. Before long, Su Qian arrived at Linbeiguan. 2 young Daoist disciples stood at the entrance. Watching Su approach on horseback, Su Qian greeted them and displayed his golden badge. I am Su Qian, a night watchman. By the emperor's command, I am investigating the Sangbo case. I request an audience with the national teacher. One of the Daoists opened the door, saying, please wait a moment, sir. The Daoist went inside, closing the door behind him. Please wait here. Su Qian waited for over 10 minutes. The Daoist disciple returned and shook his head. The master is currently in seclusion, practicing. He is not meeting with anyone. Please return, sir. Su Qian felt somewhat helpless. So this is a refusal, huh? It seems that the emperor's golden badge holds no weight here. I'll have to reveal the existence of the Earth Book. With that in mind, Su Qian took out 2 gold ingots, slipping them into the disciple's hand. Please, deliver a message for me. This silent gesture spoke louder than words. The disciple went back inside. About 10 minutes later, he returned with a warm smile and said, Lord Su, the master will see you now. Su Qian followed the disciple to the deepest part of Linbeiguan. There, a stunningly beautiful Taoist nun was seated in a meditative pose above a pond. Su Qian kept his eyes on her as he walked in, trying to discern her age. She looked like a woman in her early 30s, yet also had the grace and allure of an experienced beauty. The longer he stared, the more innocence and seductive charm. The blend was intoxicating. I can't believe I'm actually thinking of ways to marry this woman, he thought. Am I just deprived of female companionship, or does the human sect have some charm technique? His mind raced, but outwardly he remained composed. Luo Yuheng opened her enchanting eyes. Did Golden Lotus send you to me? Su Qian cupped his hands in respect. Indeed, he did. Daoist Golden Lotus spirit has been severely injured, and his physical body is also wounded. He asked me to request a Yuan gathering pill. Luo Yuheng asked further, are you a member of the Heaven and Earth Society? Which number Earth book do you hold? Her voice was rich and captivating, with a magnetic quality reminiscent of a modern voice actress. The sound stirred something within Su Qian. However, his strong will kept him steady. Maintaining his composure, he answered, Number 3. Luo Yuheng nodded slightly in acknowledgement. Luo Yuheng silently gazed at Su Qian for a long time. She suddenly made a light sound, a look of confusion flashing across her face. The Taoist nun said, your fate is unusual. Tell me your birth date and 8 characters. Su Qian hesitated. She can see through my abnormalities too? Still, Su Qian recited his birth date and 8 characters. Luo Yuheng extended her delicate hand from her sleeve. her jade-like fingers moving in calculations. After a moment of contemplation, her brows furrowed, as though encountering a puzzling anomaly. Su Qian grew nervous and expectant. "Master, what did you find?" he asked. Luo Yuheng responded with a single word, "Shunho." Su Qian, 2 tenths, misheard her. His mind instantly wandered. How does she know I like Shunho? He realized she was referring to his astrological alignment, but his thoughts had already strayed. This woman somehow awakens inappropriate thoughts in me. She reminds me of my junior's elder sister, a kind aunt, or even one of my mother's friends. This can't be my fault. It's her influence contaminating my mind. It must be a unique trait of the human sect. I'll have to ask Daoist Golden Lotus later. At that moment, Luo Yuheng spoke again, with her rich, magnetic voice. Unremarkable. Those 4 words instantly quelled Su Qian's thoughts. So, she can't fully see through my situation either. It seems she's only vaguely aware of the oddities, just like Daoist Golden Lotus. At that moment, Luo Yuheng retrieved a porcelain bottle from her sleeve and flicked it gently. The bottle floated into Su Qian's hands. He caught it and respectfully said, "Thank you, master." Meanwhile, outside the imperial study, Wei Yuan approached and was met by Eunuch Lu. Eunuch Lu sighed dramatically. "Lord Wei, you finally arrived. His Majesty sent me to wait here for you for so long. Hurry on in." His Majesty is furious in the imperial study. Those old officials were arguing in front of him earlier. You'll have to handle it yourself. In any case, be cautious. Wei Yuan nodded calmly. His composure was so strong it seemed as though, even if the sky were falling, he wouldn't flinch. He wasn't affected by Lu Gonggong's warning. Lu Gonggong and Wei Yuan were on the same side. Wei Yuan was the spiritual leader of the eunuch faction. For any court minister to plant spies in the palace was nearly impossible, but Wei Yuan could do it with ease. Wei Yuan arrived at the entrance of the imperial study. He heard Emperor Yuanjing shouting inside, "You're all useless. Trash, all of you. The Sangbo case still hasn't been solved. The 2 of you, with all your resources, can't even uncover as much as a single night watchman. What's the point of keeping you around? What use are you to me?" The massacre at Lord Pingyuan's residence has spread throughout the entire court today. Even the high-ranking nobles are now gripped by an inexplicable fear. While they publicly call for you to capture the murderer, they're secretly reinforcing the security of their own homes. The whole capital is in panic. Some say a powerful demon from the north, killing high-ranking officials at will. Others claim the Buddhist sects are stirring up trouble in secret, hoping to spread their teachings in the Central Plains. They aim to force the Great Feng dynasty into submission. Wei Yuan walked calmly into the study amidst the shouting. When Emperor Yuanjing saw him, he angrily grabbed a tray of documents and hurled it at Wei Yuan as he entered. "You have 3 days. If you can't find the murderer in that time, I'll strip you of your position." Wei Yuan slowly picked up the scattered documents and calmly said, "Your Majesty, there's no need for anger. The path of cultivation is about cultivating the mind. Don't let your inner peace be disturbed." Emperor Yuanjing let out a cold snort, his face filled with displeasure. The Minister of Justice chimed in, "Your Majesty, the night watchmen have twice let the murderer escape. I suspect Wei Yuan is colluding with foreign powers and harboring malicious intent. I urge your Majesty to investigate thoroughly." Emperor Yuanjing said nothing, his gaze fixed on the silent Chen Hongguang. The Minister of Punishments felt uneasy. Although he was of the 4th rank, he governed the 24 counties surrounding the capital, holding influence on par with the heads of the 6 ministries. Chen Hongguang was an old hand at politics, skilled at avoiding offense on all sides. He cautiously said, "The Sangbo case isn't over yet, and now there's the Pingyuan family massacre. Your Majesty, please don't be angry. Maintain a calm heart. I believe we should hear what Lord Wei has to say." Wei Yuan stepped forward and bowed. "Your Majesty, the Pingyuan case and the Sangbo case are the same." Everyone in the study, including Emperor Yuanjing, was momentarily stunned. They wondered if they had misheard, or thought that Wei Yuan's words were shockingly audacious. Wei Yuan ignored their reactions and spoke clearly. "I have already identified the culprit behind the Pingyuan massacre." The Minister of War quickly interrupted, demanding, "Who is it?" Wei Yuan glanced at him briefly, but didn't respond. Instead, he addressed Emperor Yuanjing, "Your Majesty, I request that you dismiss everyone present." At that moment, Wei Yuan unexpectedly thought of Su Qian, that mischievous brat. Wei Yuan remained in the study for half an hour. No one knew what he discussed with Emperor Yuanjing. Accompanied by Eunuch Lu, Wei Yuan finally stepped out of the study. As he walked, someone called out to him. It was the Minister of War, Zhang Feng, who greeted him with a smile. "Lord Wei, do you know who committed the massacre at Lord Pingyuan's residence?" Wei Yuan shook his head. "Minister Zhang, this case is tied to the Sangbo incident and cannot be disclosed at this time. When the truth is revealed, you will naturally be informed." With that, Wei Yuan strode away. Zhang Feng found himself rebuffed, but he dared not express his frustration in front of Wei Yuan. "Take care, Lord Wei," he called after him. After Wei Yuan departed, the officials waiting outside the imperial study were left unsettled. "Eunuch Lu, What did Wei Yuan discuss with His Majesty? Eunuch Lu repeatedly shook his head. My lords, please don't trouble me. The Prime Minister spoke up. Eunuch Lu, just share whatever you can. Eunuch Lu hesitated briefly, then nodded. Quietly he said, this case, it's being handled by Su Qian from the Night Watchers. What Lord Wei said came from his reports. The officials exchanged glances, all sharing the same thought. Su Qian again. As Su Qian left Lingbao Temple, the Daoist priestess' stunning beauty lingered in his mind. Daoist women truly are unique, he mused. Like flawless jade statues, couldn't she at least have a few blemishes? Maybe a pimple or two? The head of the Earth sect is second rank, so the head of the human sect shouldn't be any lower. At second rank, she's practically a celestial being. His horse trotted steadily beneath him. Passing by an armory, Su Qian asked the guards for directions. To the Yuqing prince's residence. I need to adjust my investigation of the Sangbo case. They'll stop focusing on the Northern King for now. I have a hunch. As long as I uncover the connection between Heng Hui and the Princess of Pingyang, find out the tangled history between them and the Pingyuan family, the Sangbo case might be solved. It won't take half a month, maybe just a few days, perhaps even sooner. Daoist Jinlian will visit me tonight. I need to remember to ask him about the situation with the sect leader. Why does she have such a magnetic charm? Even though she's a Daoist nun? Su Qian urged his horse faster, spurring it to pick up speed. Before long, he reached the Yuqing prince's residence. Su Qian displayed his imperial token. I am the officer appointed by His Majesty to oversee the Sangbo case. I request an audience with the prince. Please deliver my message. The guards, seeing the imperial token, straightened up immediately. This way, my lord. Our household's prince wants to see you. The Jade King's manor spans a very large area. Su Qian followed the guard. It took a full 5 minutes to walk from the main gate to the front hall. Su Qian met the younger brother of the remote estate's lord, a prince of the current dynasty. He was a young man, pale in complexion, looking sickly. Though barely over 40, he appeared older than the distant estate's lord. The Jade King held a teacup. He sipped it lightly and said in a slightly weak voice, Copper Gong? Since when has the emperor allowed a Copper Gong to serve as a lead investigator? Su Qian cupped his hands and said, your humble servant, Su Qian. The Jade King had never heard of him. Su Qian thought, with Sangbo's case now the hottest topic in the capital, making front-page news everywhere, it should be known to everyone, from royalty to common soldiers. As one of the main investigators, he thought, even minor officials should know me. But the Jade King, a royal counselor, did not. The Jade King nodded slowly as if remembering. Now I recall, I've heard of you before. But I've been removed from court affairs for some time, and couldn't think of it right away. Su Qian sighed. It seemed that the disappearance of Princess Pingyang had dealt a heavy blow to him. The Jade King asked, what business do you have with me? Su Qian said, and my inquiries have led me to you, your highness. The Jade King shook his head calmly. I've long retired from court matters. It shouldn't be any slander from public officials. What's the situation? Su Qian explained. About a year ago, a monk named Heng Hui from Qinglong Monastery fell in love with a woman. They formed a bond in secret. The two pledged themselves to each other, and with a magic artifact from Qinglong Monastery that concealed their aura, they fled together. Because the woman's status was extraordinary, without that artifact concealing their aura, they would never have escaped the capital. The monk's name was Heng Hui. The Jade King might not know his name, but the woman in question, she was your legitimate daughter, Princess Pingyang. With a bang, the Jade King shattered the porcelain teacup in his hand. Utter nonsense. Pingyang was well-educated and well-mannered from a young age. How could she elope with a Reup? Guards, drag this scoundrel out and behead him. Guards outside the hall surged in at once, encircling Su Qian. But he remained calm, looking at the furious father. He only felt a tinge of pity. Such news would shake any father to his core. For the Jade King, it was just the beginning. After the guards rushed in, the Jade King, who had been livid a moment ago, suddenly waved them off, telling them to leave. The Jade King let out a bitter laugh. I'm not surprised. Before Pingyang went missing, I had arranged a marriage for her, but she vehemently opposed it. She even said she already had someone she liked. How absurd. Marriages are decided by parents and matchmakers' words. How can a woman choose on her own? What if that person is deceiving her, taking advantage of her? Su Qian nodded slightly. Though he didn't agree with arranged marriages, he acknowledged that in this era, free love was indeed a deadly concept. After all, it wasn't like in his own time, where breaking up and moving on was commonplace. I heard her say that. I was furious. I slapped her. Not long after, she disappeared. I assumed that scoundrel took her away. That's what I thought at first. Initially, I was furious, grinding my teeth in anger. I resented his shamelessness. I hated how he tarnished our family's reputation. But as time passed, I began to miss him. Now, I just want him to come back, to return to my side, and call me Father King once more. I no longer care about anything else. Su Qian sighed. Perhaps you'll never see him again. From that conversation I overheard between Heng Hui and Lord Pingyuan's disciple that night, it was clear that Heng Hui, if that was his fate, how much more precarious must the situation be for Princess Pingyang who eloped with him. Su Qian added, I didn't come here to reopen your wounds, Your Highness, nor to inform you who the man was that eloped with Princess Pingyang. The Jade King froze for a moment, and then became agitated. He took 3 quick steps forward and grabbed Su Qian by the collar. Do you have news of him? Where is he now? Su Qian frowned, glaring at him in displeasure. The Jade King let go of his collar, taking a step back. I was just testing you, Sir Su. If you can help me find him, I will owe you an enormous favor, and will repay you in the future. Su Qian replied, That's exactly why I'm here. Your Highness, have you heard about the Pingyuan Manor massacre? The Jade King looked surprised. No, I haven't. Su Qian asked, What was your relationship with Lord Pingyuan? The Jade King thought for a moment. He was a member of the nobility. We used to have frequent contact, but he was overly ambitious, never satisfied with the power he had, and often colluded with the civil officials. This made him disliked by the other nobles. Su Qian nodded, then continued, It's said that your Highness nearly entered the cabinet. The Jade King paused indeed. His Majesty considered it last year. The cabinet is now dominated by Wang Jinwen. Although there are other factions and Wei Yuan to counterbalance, it's just barely maintaining a balance. As a member of the royal family with noble backing, His Majesty wanted to support me entering the cabinet to stir the waters. Su Qian was slightly taken aback. Emperor Yuanjing is really something, even though he's been disengaged from politics for years, frequently squandering resources. Yet after wearing the crown for more than a decade, he still maintains tight control over the court. His maneuvering skills are truly masterful. Su Qian asked casually, Your Highness, who currently benefits the most within the capital's power structure? The Jade King gave a helpless smile. The Prime Minister Wang Zhenwen and the Minister of War Zhang Feng. That was supposed to be my position. After saying so much, he couldn't hide his fatigue. Having learned what he wanted to know, Su Qian rose and took his leave. His horse trotted briskly. This young mare, once ridden for years by his second uncle, was now being ridden by Su Qian. Even though the rider had changed, the horse showed no signs of lament, remaining as docile and cheerful as ever. Su Qian's mood, however, wasn't as lighthearted. From the Jade King's words, it seemed that Princess Pingyang's elopement with Heng Hui might have been a deliberate setup all along. If they couldn't deal with you directly, they'd target your daughter instead. What schemes wouldn't seasoned politicians stoop to? It seemed entirely plausible. Heng Hui's revenge only served to confirm this theory. But who was behind it? Prime Minister Wang Jinwen or Minister Zhang Feng? Or perhaps both? But one issue remained. How did the struggle between the civil officials and the nobles tie into the Sangbo case and the demons? Besides the emperor, who else knew about the sealed entity beneath Sangbo? If the demons sought their next target for revenge, it would likely be either the Prime Minister or the Minister of War. At this thought, Su Qian felt a surge of alarm. He spurred his horse home, racing back to the city at full speed, but he was stopped at the palace gate. Su Qian asked, Is Lord Wei still in the palace? The guards responded, He left half an hour ago. Su Qian immediately turned his horse around. As he left the imperial city, Su Qian galloped through the wide streets of the inner city for some time, until he finally spotted Wei Yuan's carriage. Lord Wei, I have urgent matters to report, he called. Wei Yuan immediately ordered the carriage to stop. Su Qian urged his horse forward and rode up to the carriage window, speaking softly. Lord Wei, I have urgent news. Why do you always deliver your reports in such a fragmented way? Wei Yuan asked impatiently. What's happened now? Su Qian explained. Heng Hui's next target could very likely be either the Minister of War or Prime Minister Wang. If either of them comes to harm, it will be a significant problem for you, Lord Wei. Meanwhile, Minister of War Zhang Feng returned home by carriage. He asked the approaching steward, Where is he? Tell him to be fully dressed and ready in 15 minutes and meet me in the study. Zhang Feng ordered. The elderly steward and hurried off to carry out the instructions. Seeing the master's grim expression, the steward knew something serious was about to happen. Zhang Feng returned to his study, reclined in a large chair, and closed his eyes for a moment of rest. 15 minutes passed in the blink of an eye. Zhang Feng's eldest son, Zhang Yi, arrived punctually. When Zhang Feng saw his son enter, he said, Pack your belongings. Leave the capital immediately. Instinctively, Zhang Yi wanted to ask why, but he caught sight of his father's sharp gaze and hesitated. Before long, Zhang Feng and his entourage arrived at the inner city gate, only to be stopped. The guards questioned their identities, and, upon verification, refused to let them pass. The steward, out of breath, reported back. His Majesty has issued a decree. No officials of rank 6 or higher, nor their family members, may leave the capital. At dusk, after spending a day enjoying herself at the Long Princess residence, Chu Kaiwei finally arrived at the Su family estate. From a small deerskin pouch at her waist, she took out 2 inferior-grade pills. Each pill costs 2 taels of silver. Su Qian's outstretched hand trembled. 1 pill equals half a month's salary for me, he thought. Chu Kaiwei was secretly a wealthy lady. She was so young yet already owned her own airstrip. And whether or not she was a legitimate disciple didn't matter. What mattered was that she raised it herself. Su Qian envied these second-generation rich kids. Though he had over 900 taels of gold, that money was earmarked for buying a house. Thinking of this, he smiled. Miss Kaiwei, please come in and have a cup of tea. Chu Kaiwei blushed and huffed. The sun's about to set. What exactly are you plotting, inviting me in now? With that, she climbed onto her mare, wiggled her little hips, and rode away. Su Qian snorted indignantly. Money can't even keep her here. How amusing. After dinner at the main house, Su Qian returned to his courtyard. Suddenly, he heard a soft meow. Then, his door was pushed open, and an orange tabby cat gracefully strolled in, tail held high. Its golden eyes locked onto him. It spoke in a human voice. What did Luo Yuheng say? Su Qian was speechless, looking at Jin Lian, who had taken a liking to the cat form. Was this old rascal unlocking some new fetish, or was it just a peculiar preference? He scrutinized the tabby cat and said, "The gathering essence pill is here." The tabby cat looked visibly relieved. With the gathering essence pill, it won't be long before I recover my cultivation. Su Qian was a bit surprised. Is the gathering essence pill really that effective? If the Daoist recovers, he can private message in the group chat again. Thinking of this, Su Qian grew excited. His colleague curiously asked, "By the way, both you and the Daoist are from the same sect. Why did he need to ask the human sect for a pill? Is it that the imperial sect isn't good at alchemy?" The tabby cat remained silent for a moment. The cost of the gathering essence pill is about 100 taels of gold. Some medicinal ingredients can't be bought even with silver. Su Qian wanted to laugh, but held it back. It's not that the imperial sect lacks skill. It's just that they're utterly inhumane. That's truly a sad story, he thought. The orange tabby asked, "Did you learn anything today?" Su Qian relayed the information he'd gathered at the Jade King's manor, along with his own deductions. The orange tabby listened intently, and said, "Your analysis is correct. Hong Hui and Princess Pingyang's elopement is tied to political factions within the court, but I don't understand Hong Hui is still alive. So why did he wait until after the Sangbo case to reappear? And given his capabilities, he's not qualified to be involved in the Sangbo case." Su Qian nodded knowingly. "There's a force backing him. I initially thought it was the Northern King, but if it's not about rebellion, what's the purpose of releasing the sealed entity? After all that effort, it only ended with the destruction of Pingyuan Manor." Su Qian asked, "Could it have been the Jade King's doing? Did he release the sealed entity to kill his enemies?" The orange tabby shook its head. "You're suggesting that Princess Pingyang is already dead, and the Jade King sought revenge for his daughter. It's unlikely. If the Jade King knew, he wouldn't need to resort to such extreme measures, given his royal status. And besides, why are your thoughts always stuck on the royal family?" Su Qian frowned. "The suspicion surrounding the Northern King is growing clearer. I feel like a troubled young wife, always keeping watch. If Hong Hui hadn't appeared, the sealed entity would have remained dormant. Su Qian would still suspect the Northern King, believing that he was biding his time for a major move, but Hong Hui's current actions don't match the gravitas of the sealed entity. At least try to assassinate the emperor, right? Still, Su Qian hasn't entirely abandoned his suspicions. The Sangbo case remains shrouded in mystery. He has only managed to glimpse half of it. The other half, no matter how hard Su Qian squinted his metaphorical golden dog eyes, he just couldn't see through it. At this moment, the orange tabby offered its opinion. "I believe you might have gone off track. Whether it's the Northern King or the Jade King, they're all grandmasters. The reason you suspect them is because the sealed entity beneath Sangbo was known only to Emperor Yuanjing himself. But if we exclude treacherous ministers and Yuanjing, Buddhism also knew about it." Su Qian shook his head. Buddhism was one of the original participants. When the Sangbo seal was broken, the abbot of Qinglong Temple went westward, clearly showing their concern. The orange tabby casually remarked, "The demon race." These two words struck Su Qian like a sudden awakening. He had always focused on the royal family and its relatives, thinking that the sealed entity was the first witness. If that were the case, it made sense. But if it wasn't the first witness, then the knowledge of the Sangbo seal extended beyond Emperor Yuanjing, the treacherous ministers, and Buddhism. There was another force he had overlooked, the faction associated with the sealed entity itself. Even after being sealed for 500 years, it had not been erased. This was undoubtedly a terrifyingly powerful group. Such individuals wouldn't be mere hermits. Could it be the demon race? This needed further verification. Su Qian took out a porcelain bottle and placed it beside the orange tabby. "I met the national teacher today. She was different from what I imagined." The orange tabby gave him a sidelong glance. "Not the vanguard you thought she'd be?" Just as Su Qian was about to nod, the orange tabby added, "Perhaps more enticing than you expected? Made you drool a bit, didn't she?" Su Qian turned his head awkwardly. No, I just couldn't help but admire her." Su Qian had seen many beauties. His household had his aunt, a stunning woman. Ling Yu was an elegant young lady. And then there was the lively and charming Chu Kaiwei. as well as the charming, flirtatious nightclub queen, Biao Biao, and the cold, proud ice queen princess Huiqing. But he had never lost control of his thoughts, never been consumed by fantasies about the color of banana peels. It had to be something about the national teacher herself. Thinking this, Su Qian suddenly realized there was indeed an issue with her. The orange tabby didn't respond directly, but instead posed a question. Do you know why Renzong is called Renzong? Why did Luo Yuheng become the national teacher? After a pause, it continued. Luo Yuheng is actually the daughter of the former Renzong leader. Su Qian smiled and said, Why are you telling me this? Are you implying that this woman is actually quite dangerous? Su Qian added, As far as I know, among the 3 Daoist sects, only Tianzong is Renzong and Dizong can marry and have families. Did you ever have children? The orange tabby shook its head slightly. When I was younger, I thought about it, but as I got older, my feelings faded. As for romantic entanglements, I found them utterly mundane. Su Qian teased, Really mundane? Or is it just middle-aged resignation, like putting goji berries in a thermos? He quipped, Daoist, you've transcended vulgar interests. Truly admirable. If all men were like you, I'd be overjoyed. Late at night, the inner city streets echoed with the sound of orderly footsteps. In the shadows, figure moved through the inner city. He passed through streets and alleys, seemingly unbothered by the patrols and the city guards. Whenever someone's gaze turned his way, some obstacle always blocked their view, a wall at times, or something else. In this way, he quietly reached the Ministry of War. Looking up, his face was partly obscured by the shadows. The corners of the figure's mouth curled into a sinister smile. Only shouting angrily, they drew their weapons. The cloaked man lifted his right arm, hidden under the mantle, red skin covered with bulging, grotesque veins. It was like the arm of a demon. He extended his palm toward the guards, and in an instant, boom, the guards were reduced to ash. Within the Ministry of War's residence, cries of terror and alarm rang out. With no one left to block him, the cloaked man strode into the ministry's grounds. But as he entered, the surroundings suddenly shifted. Under his hood, his face tilted slightly. He carefully observed his environment. Instead of the ministry's grounds, he was now in a desolate, barren mountain region, not even a blade of grass in sight. A calm voice spoke. I've placed a teleportation formation within the Ministry of War's residence. The cloaked man rasped, Who are you? A man in white replied, In the capital. It's surprising that anyone doesn't know who I am. You, sir, have piqued my interest. The cloaked man turned around and saw a figure standing a few dozen yards away, draped in flowing white. The figure exuded an extraordinary aura. Long hair and robes billowed in the wind, giving the impression of someone truly remarkable. The cloaked man sneered, raised his right arm, and clenched his hand. The area in front of him erupted, the shockwave shattering the white-clad figure like a reflection on water. The white-clad man reappeared in another direction, once again with his back to the cloaked man. You thought I was over there, he said, but I'm actually here. The cloaked man's brow furrowed. A 4th-tier sorcerer? And you think a mere 4th tier can stop me? The white-clad man softly repeated the words mere 4th tier, then chuckled. Well said. A very bold statement. It's given me a lot to think about. After a brief pause, he smiled. But you think a mere 4th-tier sorcerer like me is here just to stand and watch? The cloaked man paused for a moment, unsure of what he meant, but he quickly found out. In the 4 cardinal directions, gold-badged night watchmen appeared. At the same time, the sound of mechanisms activating filled the air as rows of automatic crossbow turrets emerged. On the right, small cannons came. Bolts and cannonballs fired simultaneously, engulfing the cloaked man. Explosions erupted around him, shrouding him in a cloud of smoke and debris. When the smoke cleared, the cloaked man emerged, unhurried, raising his right arm. His cloak was now in tatters, revealing his true form. The white-robed sorcerer, who had kept his back to him, commented with surprise, Iron Body? At that moment, the 4 gold-badge watchmen attacked in unison. A burst of spiritual energy and sword intent was unleashed at the cloaked man. The cloaked man clasped his hands together. The gold-badge watchman hesitated briefly, but quickly snapped out of it. Taking advantage of this brief moment, the cloaked man countered with his right arm, smashing through the unyielding spiritual techniques and piercing sword strikes. The white-robed sorcerer kept a moderate distance from the battle, murmuring, Bunch of you still need me, don't you? He stomped the ground and chanted, The earth stirs with killing intent. From his feet, a ripple spread out, enveloping the battlefield. The already ravaged ground began to quake, forming a powerful force. He pointed toward the sky and chanted, Heaven stirs with killing intent. Dark clouds gathered rapidly, lightning snaking through the night. Lastly, he declared, Man stirs with killing intent. A terrifying pressure descended upon the cloaked man, forcing him into a state where he faced enemies on all sides. The grotesque arm on his right side seemed to be provoked. It began to stir, releasing an indescribable aura of menace. Bulging veins glowed suddenly. The calm monk-like figure clenched his fist, and with a thunderous roar, a blast erupted, consuming everything. A shockwave spread out in waves, forcing the 4 gold badge warriors to each take different defensive measures. They used the force to propel themselves away, steering clear of the explosion's epicenter. When the dust settled, the cloaked man's figure was nowhere to be seen. The white-robed sorcerer appeared abruptly, back facing the group, and asked, "Who is this man, exactly? I mean, that arm of his." The swordsman among the gold badge warriors countered, "His arm?" The white-robed sorcerer explained, "From what I observed, that arm wasn't ordinary magic. It's so terrifying it's given me pause." Ginger Lu glanced at the sorcerer's back, and said, "From beginning to end, he's been facing away from us." Ginger Lu continued grumpily, "Yang Qianhuan, where are your eyes even pointing?" Yang Qianhuan replied smugly, "I snuck a look before he left." Ginger Lu sighed in exasperation, "Can't you just face us when you talk? You never used to be like this." Yang Qianhuan said proudly, "I'll have to decline. I, Yang, do things my way. I don't care what anyone thinks." He added, "I've paid close attention. Both the witness and Wei Yuan, haven't you noticed? One always stands while the other always sits on the gossip stage, facing away. And yet we think, Wei Yuan and the witness are both so dignified." The 4 gold badge warriors scowled instantly, each feeling the urge to strike him. Ginger Lu shook his head and returned to the main topic. "So, from this perspective, based on the current information, that arm is the sealed artifact beneath Sangbo." Yang Qianhuan frowned. The sealed artifact beneath Sangbo? He had just returned to the capital a few days ago. Today he was representing the Si Tianjian to help subdue a rogue. He had heard that the Everlasting Temple's mountain river formation was recently destroyed, but hadn't paid much attention to it. As everyone knew, as long as those alchemists and goldsmithing researchers received their meals on time, they could stay inside their labs for 10 years. The swordsman among the gold badge watchmen said, "That monk must be Heng Hui." Ginger Lu added, "If we can capture him, we'll know where the Princess of Pingyang is." Yang Qianhuan looked confused. As he listened to the gold badge watchman's discussion, he grew more curious. The Princess of Pingyang? The one who disappeared over a year ago? Yang Qianhuan recalled that when the princess went missing, the Si Tianjian almost entirely mobilized. It caused quite a stir. Hearing this, he couldn't hold back anymore. He asked aloud, "Sangbo only happened a few days ago. You night watchmen have already figured all this out? Wait a minute. Why didn't I hear about this from the Si Tianjian disciples? Don't tell me you didn't even ask them for help with the case. How could you solve a case like this without them?" As he saw it, a major case like Sangbo's would be impossible without the Si Tianjian's involvement. After all, the Si Tianjian often assisted the court in investigations, and internal information sharing was common practice. Yet Yang Qianhuan had heard nothing about Heng Hui or the Princess of Pingyang. Yang Yan, unusually, spoke up. "We night watchmen didn't even send out gold badge watchmen. The one handling the case is a plain copper badge named Su Qian." Yang Qianhuan, who hadn't turned around, muttered, "What does this have to do with me? Why do you sound so smug? Tell me more about this copper badge." Xiang Yuzhong said, "You should know this copper badge officer. He's quite famous in the Si Tianjian. His name is Su Qian." Yang Qianhuan's voice instantly rose. He knew of Su Qian. He'd just heard about him upon returning to the Si Tianjian. Apparently, he'd even given lectures to the juniors. He didn't expect Sangbo's case was his doing as well. It seemed he had handled it well. Another big achievement. He seemed like a formidable opponent. Nan Gongqianzu said bitterly, "What's the story behind that arm?" Yang Qianhuan shook his head. "No idea, but its owner is definitely second rank or higher. I don't know much about the martial artist hierarchy, nor do I care to know." His tone was deep, like a lonely, invincible swordsman. The gold badge watchmen thought to themselves, "This guy's condition is getting worse after months of seclusion." Meanwhile, at the Su residence, Su Qian had just arrived at the front courtyard. When he heard Xiao Do Ding's wailing cries, Su Lingyue's eyes lit up, and she turned her head to say, "Big brother, you're up late." Su Qian scratched his cheek awkwardly. "I overslept." At that moment, Xiao Do Ding came running over on short legs, jumping up to cling to Su Qian's leg. Then, he said in an aggrieved tone, Big brother, they stole my chicken leg. Even the kid's chicken legs, they stole it." Su Qian looked at his aunt and sister. "So mean." His aunt huffed indignantly, too lazy to explain herself. Su Lingyue sighed. "Last night, Lingling saved a chicken leg. He didn't eat it, just took it to his room. When he woke up this morning, it was gone. He thinks Mom and I took it." Su Qian squatted down and said, "Big brother is the best at solving mysteries. Big brother will make things right for you." Hearing that, Xiao Do Ding's mood brightened. He felt that Big brother was the best, except when he stole his food. Su Lingyue said, "I asked the maid who looks after him. She said Lingling got up in the middle of the night and ate it, but he doesn't believe it." Su Qian looked down and asked, "Did you eat it?" Xiao Do Ding shouted, "No, I didn't." Su Lingyue added. The maid said he ate it with his eyes closed. We found the chicken leg at his bedside. The bone was picked clean. It's just how he eats. Xiao Doding couldn't accept that the chicken leg he had saved, the one he hadn't wanted to eat, was actually eaten by himself. It must have been sister. She's lying. Su Qian sighed and said, Big brother already knows who ate it. Xiao Doding's eyes sparkled with hope. Who? He asked eagerly. It was your mouth that ate it, Su Qian replied, but your brain didn't know. With that, Su Qian suddenly said, it was a ghost. Xiao Doding was shocked and stumbled over his words. A G-ghost? His aunt frowned and said, don't scare the kid. Then she turned to her youngest daughter and said, a ghost? Sprinkle it with salt, fry it in oil, and it'll taste better than a chicken leg. Hearing this, Xiao Doding looked both frightened and intrigued. After breakfast, Su Qian mounted his horse and rode to the yamen. Song Tingfeng said, Mingyan, Lord Wei just sent someone to summon you to Howren Tower. Su Qian asked, you didn't tell him I was late, right? Song Tingfeng looked away, not daring to meet Su Qian's eyes. I told him you were busy in the privy. Su Qian nodded, and then headed to Howren Tower. When Su Qian arrived at the top floor, he was about to bow and greet them, but what he saw stopped him in his tracks. Inside the tea room, besides Wei Yuan, there were 4 gold badge warriors. They were all injured. The scene was both absurd and comical. High-ranking martial artists who looked like a gang of ruffians, after losing a brawl. Some of them even appeared dejected. Su Qian turned his head away, but couldn't help chuckling. Nan Gonqianruo snapped. What are you laughing at? Su Qian tried to hold back his laughter. I didn't laugh. At that moment, Wei Yuan called Su Qian over. Hong Hui appeared last night. The target was the Minister of War. Su Qian's bloodthirsty expression turned serious. Those few experienced individuals. Wei Yuan nodded. Yes, it was Hong Hui who injured them. Last night, the government office set up operations at the Ministry of War, the Minister's residence, and the Prime Minister's residence. 4 golden guards, along with Jian Zheng's 3rd disciple Yang Qianhuan, 5 4th-grade experts, but they still couldn't stop Hong Hui. Su Qian was both shocked and unsurprised by the outcome. Having 5 4th-grade experts in the lineup was unexpected, but not surprised, because the sealed item under Sangbo was supposed to be this powerful. What is its origin? Su Qian asked Wei Yuan. Did you see it clearly? Zhang Luzhong answered. It's a severed hand. Su Qian's heart skipped a beat. Sure enough, it was that strange hand. He looked at Wei Yuan. Lord Wei, is this at... Wei Yuan calmly replied. At least 2nd grade. Su Qian mused. A single hand has such strength. What level must its owner be? At least 2nd grade, Wei Yuan replied, but most likely 1st grade. Otherwise, it would have been destroyed, not sealed. Su Qian speculated. What exactly is the origin of that sealed item? Is it related to the Yao tribe? Wei Yuan refused to reveal more. This matter involves a great secret, he said. I'm not sure of the details. Su Qian pondered over the severed hand, the powerful individual behind it, the involvement of the Sky Tower Guardian, the royal family, and the Buddhist sects, and even connections to events from 500 years ago. He glanced at the Golden Guards, trying to glean some clues from their expressions. Unfortunately, the Golden Guards paid no attention to the young constable's observations. Wei Yuan said warmly. Hong Hui has an artifact that conceals his aura. For now, we can confirm that he hasn't left the city. I've already reported this to His Majesty this morning. You may continue your investigation. Su Qian understood the eunuch's subtle hint. Afterward, he asked, where is the Minister of War? Wei Yuan replied, under the guise of protection. He's staying at his residence. Su Qian understood and said, I'll go investigate right away. Wei Yuan reminded, Zhang Shangshu is a 2nd-grade official. Be careful and mindful of protocol. You are not allowed to use the forgetting spell on anyone above 4th grade. That's the rule. But you can still bring along a warlock. Su Qian instantly understood Wei Yuan's intention. He was suggesting that, while a warlock's accusations couldn't be considered hard evidence, they could serve as a reference point. Before leaving, Su Qian glanced once more at the frustrated Golden Guards. He let out a chuckle, then quickly dashed out of the tea house before they could get angry. Zhang Luzhong exhaled a long breath, grumbling, this rascal is getting bolder and bolder. The sword-wielding Golden Guard smirked, saying, he wouldn't dare in front of me. Otherwise, he'd be cut down. Zhang Luzhong sighed, what a waste for you. If only you knew that kid's potential. Before he could finish, Wei Yuan interrupted. Enough with the chatter. Zhang Luzhong immediately fell silent. The sword-wielding Golden Guard raised his eyebrows, asking, what's his potential like? What rank is he? Is it fake? Zhang Luzhong's lips twitched. Is it fake? The sword-wielding Golden Guard's voice suddenly grew louder. If not fake, could it be top grade? He turned and fixed his gaze on Wei Yuan. But Wei Yuan continued sipping his tea without a word. This attitude made the Golden Guard even more curious. If it were top grade, it wouldn't be kept from me, he thought. Could it really be? No way. Top grade talent hasn't appeared in decades, but their behavior. Isn't it confirming just that? If that's the case, I have no reason not to recruit Constable Su Qian, but judging from Lord Wei's expression, it seems he's keeping it quiet to avoid the Golden Guards competing over him, causing disputes. I can secretly plan to win him over. Young men care about nothing more than silver and women. Yang Yin, who rarely showed emotion, suddenly interjected, Godfather, what is His Majesty's stance on this? Wei Yuan sighed. Find Heng Hui as soon as possible. During the investigation, even I can't withstand a barrage of accusations. The 4 Golden Guards all grew serious. For Wei Gong to say such a thing, the situation must be extremely severe. We will do everything we can, they vowed. Wei Yuan nodded. Don't just talk. There are rumors circulating in the court that the Golden Guards in the government offices are useless, and that all investigations rely on a single bronze gong. Yang Yin and Nangong Shinro exchanged glances, each understanding the other's thoughts. Godfather has become more and more appreciative of Su Qian. We must handle this matter well, and rescue Heng Hui as soon as possible. Fortunately, this task is beyond Su Qian's capabilities, so there's no concern about him jumping in to steal credit again. Su Qian arrived at the Ministry of War with the Sangbo team. The minister revealed his gold insignia. After a servant reported their arrival, he led Chu Kaiwei, Li Yuchen, and 3 golden gongs, along with Chief Constable Lu Qing from the 6 doors, into the minister's mansion. Once inside, Lu Qing whispered in awe, this mansion is impressive. It must be worth at least 10,000 taels of silver. The leading servant sneered, 10,000 taels of silver? You country bumpkin. Do you think you can buy our mansion with just 10,000 taels? You uncouth brute. Su Qian kicked him and scolded. Lead the way properly, you lowly servant. The servant lowered his head and hurriedly sped up. Hearing the words lowly servant, Su Qian thought of the little queen of the nightclub, Biao Biao. He wondered if she had challenged Princess Huiqing today, and gotten beaten up again. Su Qian then met the Minister of War, Zhang Feng, in the reception hall. She sat there in silence, exuding the majesty of someone in a high position. Su Qian cupped his hands in greeting, Minister. Zhang Feng inclined her head slightly. I've heard from the palace eunuch that you handle cases swiftly. Remarkable abilities. Not only has the Sangbo case progressed rapidly, you also uncovered the real culprit behind the Pingyuan massacre. Su Qian sensed. He replied humbly, Minister, you overpraise me. Minister Zhang nodded slightly. You're wondering what connection I have to that villain, why they came seeking revenge at my residence late at night. Su Qian hadn't expected her to be so forthcoming, but suddenly, Minister Zhang's expression darkened and she angrily exclaiming, I'd like to know as well. Even more, I want to know, why, 10 days after the Pingyuan case, the Night Watchers still haven't caught the culprit. Why have the Night Watchers repeatedly allowed criminals to commit atrocities? Su Qian frowned. What a tough character, giving me a stern rebuke right from the start. He was taken aback by this initial reprimand, but could only cup his hands and say, Minister, please calm down. Minister Zhang composed herself, sighed and said, although I didn't attend court today, I'm aware of what happened last night. I didn't expect that even with 5 grade 4 experts working together, they still couldn't capture the intruder. Instead, 4 Golden Guards were injured. The Night Watcher's loyalty to the court is undeniable. I have always seen that clearly. It's unfortunate that Jianzheng's illness prevents him, forcing us all to live in fear, and you all to be run ragged. Her demeanor was that of a high-ranking official, yet her tone was warm and understanding, which made her subordinates feel a natural affinity for her. Su Qian remained silent, but began to feel a slight sense of respect for the Minister of War. However, he quickly realized, first, she started with a reprimand to put me in my place. Then, she shifted her attitude to earn sympathy and rapport, leading me to feel a sense of gratitude and recognition. Someone who could play the political game so skillfully, to the point of being a second-grade official, was certainly not simple. Su Qian coughed lightly to clear his throat. He cautiously asked, could it be that the true culprit behind the Pingyuan massacre is the same person who attacked the minister's mansion last night? He's a monk from the Qinglong Temple. His religious name is Heng Hui. The Minister of War cursed, Heng Hui. Does this official even know who he is? Why did he attack my residence at night? Since he's a monk of Qinglong Temple, why don't you seek out the people of Qinglong Temple rather than coming to me? Su Qian calmly responded. Heng Hui, a mere monk, is naturally not someone the minister would be familiar with. However, a year ago he eloped with a female devotee and disappeared without a trace. That female devotee was the Princess of Pingyang. Zhang Feng's face showed a look of shock. She seemed unable to believe that the Princess of Pingyang had eloped with someone. Su Qian kept observing her, trying to read her true thoughts through her micro-expressions, but he failed. There were no flaws to be found. Su Qian decided to shift his focus to Zhang Yi, Zhang Feng's son. Soon, Zhang Feng sent a servant to fetch him, and before long, a haggard-looking Zhang Yi, with dark circles under his eyes, entered the reception hall. Su Qian noted, your dark circles could rival those of Song Qing. With that, Su Qian asked, Zhang Gongzi, do you know a monk named Heng Hui? Zhang Yi sat down heavily, raising his chin with disdain, and said, No. Su Qian asked again, do you know Hongqing? Zhang Yi. This time didn't even bother to respond, just shaking his head dismissively. Su Qian continued, do you know Hong Yuan? But again, the answer was the same no. At this point, Su Qian's voice grew deeper. Do you know Pingyang? Zhang Yi instinctively started to say no, but he quickly realized. Princess Pingyang? Of course I know her. Su Qian's expression turned displeased. This guy was just brushing him off. Still, Su Qian politely cupped his hands with a smile and said, I'm done asking. Thank you, Minister Zhang and Zhang Gongzi, for your cooperation. Leaving the minister's residence, Su Qian turned to Chu Kaiwei and asked, during the questioning just now, what was true and what was false? Chu Kaiwei, her egg-shaped face wearing an annoyed expression, rolled her eyes. Not a single word was true. Su Qian was taken aback. Who do you mean? Both father and son, Chu Kaiwei muttered, pouting. Although the last thing he said was true, that impotent guy really does know the princess of Pingyang. That made Su Qian's heart skip a beat. I can understand Zhang Feng lying through his teeth, but why would Zhang Yi lie too? There was only one possibility. Zhang Yi was involved in the elopement of Hong Hui and Princess Pingyang. If Zhang Yi knew nothing about it, then Zhang Feng wouldn't have shared such a sensitive secret with him. Sometimes, not knowing is the best protection. And given Zhang Feng's reputation as a master of time management, it's obvious he isn't reliable. If I were Minister Zhang, I wouldn't entrust a critical case, a case that could wipe out the entire family, to an unreliable person, even if he were my son. It's worth noting that when Hong Hui killed Pingyuan's heir, he claimed, I'm here to collect a debt. Su Qian's spirits rose. The case was becoming more and more intriguing, more mysterious and fascinating. I feel like I'm close to the truth. Once I uncover the truth behind Hong Hui and Princess Pingyang's elopement, I can continue investigating the Sangbo case. After a busy day, when the official work ended, Su Qian bid farewell to Chu Kaiwei and Lu Qing. After they left, Su Qian sneakily headed to Jiao Fangxi. Under the pretext of needing to unwind after days of intense investigation, he justified it as a way to relieve stress. After all, it's just sleeping. What difference does it make whether I sleep at home or on Fuxiang's bed? Moreover, Fuxiang had sent word several times, saying she missed him dearly, and inviting him for tea at Yingmei Pavilion. Since that's the case, Su Qian thought, then let's arrange a meeting. At that moment, Song Tingfeng said, I plan to sleep with a pure performer. Su Qian earnestly advised, sleeping with a pure performer isn't worth it. Their prices are inflated. Some of these supposedly pure performers aren't really selling art, not themselves. The notion of a pure performer is more like hype. Jia Fangxi doesn't just have adult women, but also many young girls. These girls are trained in singing, dancing, and attire, developing skills over time as they grow up. Those who are average in looks and skill become lower-tier performers. The truly beautiful and skilled ones become pure performers. Once these pure performers gain enough fame, they hold exciting auctions to capture men's hearts. Song Tingfeng replied matter-of-factly, I've already said, I'm not the kind of man who's suited for marriage and children. Keeping silver around serves no purpose for me. Song Tingfeng had his reasons for thinking this way. However, the tea girls in Fuxiang courtyard were overpriced, and the courtesan was already in that left him sleeping in the servants' quarters of Mei Ying Pavilion. Zhu Guangxiao succinctly said, I'm planning to get married. Soon after, the three parted ways. Su Qian entered Jia Fangxi. Suddenly, someone called out his name from behind. Is that Mr. Su? Su Qian jumped in surprise. Being recognized by someone at a brothel? He cursed internally, while turning around. A handsome young man bowed with a grin, saying, Mr. Su, my mistress, Miss Mingyan, would like to invite you for tea. After a moment's thought, Su Qian realized who Miss Mingyan was. Another famous courtesan. A renowned beauty as famous as Fuxiang. Like her, she had a name known across the land. A martial artist? Su Qian thought. Everyone knows that dancing and yoga offer similar benefits. His eyes brightened as he smiled and said, Lead the way. The young man's face lit up, and he said eagerly, This way, sir. He ushered Su Qian into the building. This way, he repeated. By now, they had reached the small pavilion's entrance. As the gatekeeper stepped out to greet Su Qian, he froze at the sight and opened his mouth in shock. He wanted to stop Su Gongzi or scold the colleague stealing him away. But on second thought, he realized he had no status or authority to interfere. Speaking up might even offend Su Gongzi. So he grit his teeth, shut the door, and rushed back into the courtyard, exclaiming, Ladies, something terrible has happened. Su Gongzi has been taken away. Right outside the gates, by a servant from Mingyan's courtyard. The maids immediately erupted. What? That little minx dares to steal our mistress's man? Meanwhile, in Fuxiang's boudoir, the maid tending to her knelt beside the bed, and was giving her a massage. You seem distracted these days, not in good spirits. Are you thinking of Su Gongzi? Fuxiang shook her head. Just a stinky man. Why would I think about him? The maid chuckled. Then why do you have me checking every evening? If Su Gongzi has arrived? Fu Xiang frowned and pointed to a fruit plate. Men are all the same, just like sugarcane. At first they're sweet, so sweet you could, but keep eating and all you're left with is a mouthful of fibrous scraps. The maid laughed. Even scraps? When it was sweet, it was truly sweet. You always seemed so content when you were with him. Fu Xiang pouted and tapped the maid lightly on the forehead, asking, what do you think of Shualong? The maid grinned. Very impressive. Every night he leaves you exhausted. Fu Xiang's face turned red. You're always so worn out after being with him, the maid added. You even struggle to walk? Fu Xiang, blushing even more, playfully flicked the maid's forehead. Don't you think he's different from other men? The maid paused to think and then nodded. He is more gentle than most men. He doesn't treat us as inferior. Although, when he stares at your chest, well, he's not exactly any cleaner than the others outside, Fu Xiang said nonchalantly. Men are all lustful, aren't they? Lately, a line of 7-character verse had been circulating in Jiafengxi. It's said to be quite stunning. Sparse shadows stretch across shallow waters. They say it came from the palace. The maid nodded. I heard it from a guest at the tea pavilion. Apparently, it was written by one of the princes or princesses to sober up. Which prince could be that talented? At that moment, another maid hurried in, slightly out of breath, and announced, Mistress, Mr. Su just arrived at Jiafengxi. Fu Xiang nodded indifferently. Serve him some chive snacks. Let him wait outside. She didn't seem to care much. It had been almost a month since she last saw him. During their romantic moonlit walks, she would call him her sweet little thing. Once the mood passed, she would ignore him. It's just a man, after all. No need to worry about him, she thought. But the maid shook her head repeatedly. Mr. Su was taken away midway by someone from Miss Minion's courtyard. He's already in her courtyard now. Fu Xiang shot up from her seat, her face showing both disbelief and reluctance to believe. Her brows furrowed as she gritted her teeth and said, Prepare my clothes. We're going to Qingqi courtyard.